Chapter 39, Frigid Sun Mother Grass, right, do you sell frigid sun grass here? Shaking his head to dispel the additional thoughts in his mind, Zhang Xian asks. On top of miscellaneous items, this vendor also sells some herbs. After finishing those books in the compendium pavilion, he has already found a solution to Zhao Ye's problem. With a pure yin body, she should cultivate a gentle and neutral cultivation technique. This way, the problem of the accumulation of yin energy should be solved. However, she has already cultivated a pure yin cultivation technique for a long time and the meridians in her body have already adapted to it. If an abrupt change were to be introduced, her body might sustain a severe trauma and her cultivation will fall steeply. To prevent this from occurring, some preparations have to be made in advance. One of them is to nourish her meridians through medicinal herbs. Frigid sun grass grows in cold regions despite favoring sunny conditions. As a result, the warm and cold spiritual energy contained within it clashes, causing the amalgamation of yin and yang, thus making it the ideal choice to nourish her meridians. Since he is in the commercial city now, it is a good time for him to ask around about it. Frigid sun grass. It is a coincidence that you ask this. Not to brag, but I can guarantee you that I am the only vendor in Tianyu commercial city that has this good. I procured them a few days ago from a dangerous region in Tianxian forest. I have a total of 10 stalks and each stalk costs 100 gold coins. How many do you need? The vendor smiles and turns around to take out a box. Opening it, a few fresh-looking plants are revealed within. White flowers with red stems and leaves. Let me take a look first. Zhang Xian only knows about the frigid sun grass through books, so he isn't very familiar with it. He reaches out to grab a stalk and places it on his palm. Wang! The library jolts and a book appears. Frigid sun grass, harvested from an unknown valley 200 kilometers into Tianxian forest. Aged 2 flaws, the name of the herb is written on the cover of the book and the location of its procurement and its flaws are recorded in it. It is frigid sun grass, this fellow isn't lying. Confirming that there is no mistake with the name on the book, Zhang Xian knows that the vendor owner isn't lying to him. This is the authentic medicinal herb, so he nods his head. Just when he is about to speak, his eyes happen to glance on the interiors of the box. Why does this stalk of frigid sun grass look slightly withered? Could it be that your procurement method is incorrect, causing its death? There is a specific method to harvesting medicinal herbs. If the method is wrong, the medicinal properties of the herb might be lost, causing its price to dip steeply. The stalk of frigid sun grass he is talking about is withered thin and slightly yellow, seemingly immature. Furthermore, it doesn't look fresh at all. With a shriveled large head, it seems as though it would die at any moment. This gentleman here must be joking. I depend on this for a living, so how could I possibly get it wrong? This stalk of herb isn't of good condition from the very start, it was already like that when I procured it initially. If you want it, I will sell it to you at half price, 50 gold coins. The vendor says. Zhang Xian picks up the yellowish and withered stalk of frigid sun grass. Wang! Frigid sun mother grass, the origin of other frigid sun grasses. Harvested from an unknown valley 200 kilometers into Tianxian forest. Aged 15, flipping open the book, the name of the herb and details on it is recorded. Frigid sun mother grass. Zhang Xian's eyes light up. He has read it on the books previously. This extremely valuable and rare herb is the core of all other frigid sun grass. If this herb were to be used in the creation of a medicine, its effectiveness would at least be 10 times of the latter. He didn't expect to stumble upon this treasure when he was just casually looking for herbs. Furthermore, this herb is 15-year-old. Just by this itself determines the extraordinary worth of it. If Zhao Ye were to use the frigid sun grass to nourish her meridians, she would still require the augmentation from several other means to successfully change her cultivation technique. However, with this stalk of frigid sun grass, the problem can be easily solved. She wouldn't even need the augmentation from other means. This is the most suitable medicinal herb for her, no questions about it. Wrap this stock up for me. Although he is agitated, his face still remains expressionless as he casually passes it back to the vendor. If the other party realizes that this is a mother stock and not a sickly one, its price would instantly shoot up by 10 times, and even so, he might still be unable to purchase it from him. As a four-halves youngster who grew up in the modern civilized world, he wouldn't do himself any injustice when he is able to profit out of something. Four-halves refer to dream, moral, culture and discipline. Originated from Deng Xiaoping in 1980. 50 gold coins. Seeing how well-dressed the young man seemed to be, he thought that he would purchase a few stock. He didn't expect that he would just buy a sickly one. Pursing his lips, he wraps it casually, the warmth from before absent on his face. Even a vendor judges his own customers when doing sales. The person before him isn't even willing to buy a good medicinal herb, thus making it clear to see that he is a poor bloke. Since that's the case, it would just be a waste of time to try to coax him otherwise. Alright. Grabbing the herb, Zhang Xian reaches out to his pocket and awkwardness immediately shows on his face. Due to being too absorbed in the library, he forgot about the matter of money. As a low-level teacher, his wages are low. Furthermore, due to scoring a 0 in the teacher qualification examination, his fortunes were penalized severely. In other words, he doesn't even have 10 gold coins in his pocket, needless to say, 50. Is there anything wrong? Sensing that something is amiss from his face, the vendor asks. Cough cough, can you sell it to me for 8 gold coins? Zhang Xian counts the gold coins he retrieves from his pocket, and there are only 8 of them. 8? You must be joking. Since you didn't bring any money, why are you trying to buy anything at all? Seeing the few coins placed on the other party's palm, the vendor owner is on the verge of doing a somersault and crashing to the floor. He had met with miserly customers, but he had never met with such a miserly one. Trying to buy frigid sun grass with just 8 gold coins? You must be dreaming. Even if this stock is sickly, it is still worth far beyond this price. Snatching back the herb, he waves his hand with an annoyed look. Scram if you don't have any money. I don't have the effort to be arguing with you over this. Cough cough. It is true that I didn't bring sufficient money, but are you sure that you don't want to sell it to me? Seeing the attitude of the vendor, Zhang Xian shakes his head. Nonsense. Even if this stock looks awful, it still contains medicinal properties. At worst, it can still be sold for 30 or 40 gold coins. Yet, you offer me 8 gold coins? What a joke. Hurry up and leave, or else I will be calling for the security enforcement team. Seeing how this fellow is reluctant to leave despite being broke, he angrily chases him away. In order to prevent people from coercing others to buy or sell goods, as well as to deter troublemakers, most large commercial cities operate a security enforcement patrol team in their perimeter. As long as one calls out for them, they would appear quickly. Even if you are a Fighter 5 Dan Dingli realm expert, you will be chased out of the commercial city instantly. Furthermore, to make a move on the security enforcement team means to make a move on the entire commercial city. Normally, no one would have the guts to stand up against them. Upon seeing how this fellow refuses to leave despite not possessing sufficient money, he is certain that he is here to cause trouble. So, he opens his mouth to call for the security enforcement team. Don't call for the security enforcement team, I'm really interested in buying it. Zhang Xian interrupts him. With a calm and steady look, he chuckles softly. I might not have sufficient money, but I'm not here to cause trouble. Do you believe that if I were to open my mouth, not only will you be willing to sell it to me, you would even offer to give it to me for free? Give it to you for free? Are you still in the midst of your sleep? The vendor didn't expect the poor bloke to say such words. He looks at the young man before him with an attitude as though he is looking at an idiot and sneers coldly. If I were to really give it to you for free, I'll call you grandpa. In his opinion, this fellow must have a screw loose. Not mentioning how he doesn't bring sufficient money to purchase goods, he even thinks that he would give it to him for free. I am not insane, why would I give it to you for free? Who do you think you are? Call me grandpa. You don't need to do that. Zhang Xian shakes his head. He looks at the vendor with a bright smile and says, "You will give it to me for free because I said so. If you doubt my words, I will take 2 steps cough cough. Let's see what will happen after I give you a punch." Chapter 40. The master is here. The master is here. Give me a punch. The vendor doesn't know what the young man is up to. Indeed. Zhang Xian nods his head. You are trying to make a fool out of me. Seeing the serious look on the other person's face, the vendor's rage comes surging out and he sends a fist towards Zhang Xian. He had seen crazy people before, but he had never seen such a crazy person. You still want me to let you give me a punch? Why don't I beat you up to death instead? Putting all of his strength into his punch routine, the wind rustles from the force of his blow, thus exposing his level of cultivation. Fighter 3 Danjinchi Realm Primary Stage. Not bad. Smiling faintly, Zhang Xian moves his body slightly to dodge the attack. He has already reached Fighter 5 Dan Dingli Realm Pinnacle. Naturally, the strength of a Fighter 3 Dan Primary Stage cannot hurt him. He assumed that the young man is here just to cause trouble, so he thought that he would just be a delinquent without cultivation. However, upon seeing him dodge his attack easily, he immediately realizes that the young man's cultivation is on a higher level than his. The vendor stops as bewilderment overwhelms him. A fellow who has at least reached the level of Fighter 3 Dan can't possibly be really trying to buy stuff with just 8 gold coins. If I'm not wrong, you are from Xiaopingyi. The moment the vendor made a move, a book on him is compiled in the Library of Heaven's Path. Getting what he had intended for, Zhang Xian smiles faintly. How? How did you know? The vendor is taken aback. Xiaopingyi is one of the provincial cities around Tianxian Royal City. It isn't a large city and there are at least 80 of such cities around the capital. The vendor is puzzled by how Zhang Xian could pinpoint it out accurately. He couldn't resist looking down to study his appearance, but there doesn't seem to be any defining traits on him that would reveal his place of origin. It doesn't matter how I know it. Zhang Xian activates this acting cool mode. He looks at the other party once again in a calm and dignified demeanor. Half a year ago, you probably met with danger in Tianxian Forest and was bitten by a cold bamboo snake. Although you managed to escape with your life, your kidneys were damaged. If I'm not wrong. When you are doing that, it is difficult for you to showcase your masculinity. You, the vendor staggers backward. His eyes are widened so large that they are on the verge of falling to the floor. It is true that he was bitten by a cold bamboo snake in Tianxian Forest half a year ago. After which, the latter half of Zhang Xian's words are true as well. However, other than him and the lady from the brothel, he had never talked about it with another person. How did this young man know about it? Could it be that he is a seer? Someone who is capable of divining the future? The vendor is still filled with disbelief. Why? Are my words wrong? Seeing the expression on the other party's face, Zhang Xian knew that what was written in the Library of Heaven's Path isn't wrong. Thus, he expresses a look of pity and says, if you find what I have said inaccurate, I can do without the medicinal herb and leave right now. However, your only chance at treating your problem will disappear as well. Sigh, you won't be able to be a man from now onward. Don't blame me for not reminding you now. Gongzi, don't go. Gongzi - a gentleman hearing that the other party is capable of treating him, the vendor's body trembles in agitation as he hurriedly takes a step forward. You. Can you really treat me? To a man, nothing is more pathetic than losing one's potency. These days, he dares not respond to the invitations of his friends, afraid that his problem would be exposed in front of them. Suffering silently, he had looked for many different physicians, but they all came to the same conclusion, that his symptoms are hard to treat and the only solution is amputation. He dares not believe that a casual buyer would point out his problem directly and even claim that he is capable of treating it. I won't force you to believe me. However, since I am able to tell what is wrong with you, naturally, I have my own ways to treat it as well. Zhang Xian declares. Gongzi, I plead you to help treat me. As long as you can treat me. Not just that single stalk of frigid sun grass, you can take all of my herbs. The vendor lunges forward in a panic, the plea in his eyes clear to see. There are too many incredible people in the world. The words of the young man are logical since he is able to see through his problem, he definitely has a way to treat it. Besides, he has no choice to grasp onto every straw of hope that he could find. After all, this concerns his future happiness. You were bitten by the cold bamboo snake. This creature inherently possesses cold attribute. When you were bitten by it, cold energy erupted into your body, causing you to lose your physical function. Furthermore, it is unable to dispel by any medicinal herb, thus even quite a few apothecaries will find themselves helpless before it. However, what is bizarre about this snake is that even though its entire body is cold, its gall is warm. As long as you find another snake, kill it and consume its gall, you are able to expel the cold energy from your body completely. Your damaged kidney would gradually recover and you would be able to showcase your masculinity as a man once more. Zhang Xian says. There are many antidotes to the poison of the cold bamboo snake, but the best antidote of all lies on its body. Its gall is the crux to counteracting its unique cold energy. This is written on one of the manuals in Hongtian Compendium Pavilion. Upon the thought of cold bamboo snakes, this information pops up into his mind. This is also precisely the reason why he only mentioned the gall bladder of the cold bamboo snake. Otherwise, with the Library of Heaven's path capability of displaying innumerable flaws, there is a multitude of remedies he could provide him, he need not specifically choose this one. Eating the snake gall of a cold bamboo snake. The vendor is still in a state of disbelief. So simple. If this is true, why did none of the many physicians he had visited say so? There should be cold bamboo snakes on sale in this commercial city. If you doubt my words, you can buy one of them and try it right now. I will only leave after we verify it. Zhang Xian says. Medicinal herbs aren't the only things on sale in Tianyu Commercial City, there are also all kinds of treasures, savage beasts and animals. Cold bamboo snake is one of the lower-tier savage beasts. Although it contains lethal poison within it, it can be used in concocting medicines, so there are people selling it here. Fine, wait for a moment. After hesitating for a moment, the vendor turns around and leaves. A short moment later, he returns with a cage and a cold bamboo snake is coiling around in it. As a Jinchi realm fighter, as long as he is prepared, killing a cold bamboo snake isn't a difficult task. It didn't take long for the snake gall to be extracted. Without any hesitation, the vendor swallows it directly. Soon, the vendor's eyes light up. The vendor seems to have already gotten an answer to whether the remedy works or not. I thank Gongzi for your help. These frigid sun grass are all yours. With his eyes glowing with excitement, the vendor nearly kneels down in gratitude from the joy surging through him. This was a problem that had been plaguing him for a long time. In fact, there was even a period when he didn't want to live anymore. In order to treat this deficiency of his, he spent several years of his savings and never would he expect for it to be treated just like that. See, I didn't lie when I said that you would give them to me for free. Zhang Xian helps himself to the generous gifts of the vendor and grabs the box filled with frigid sun grasses. Knowledge is a type of wealth as well. It is natural for Zhang Xian to receive some compensation from the vendor after solving the illness that was plaguing him. Gongzi, I apologize for my inadequacy for not realizing your capabilities. I beg for your forgiveness. The vendor scratches his head in embarrassment. Just a moment ago, he was still declaring resolutely that if he were to give the frigid sun grasses to Zhang Xian for free, he would call him grandpa. Never would he expect for Zhang Xian's words to truly come to be. It's nothing. Zhang Xian casually waves his hand to show that it was a small matter. Just as he is about to leave, a crowd of people suddenly dashes forward, their faces red from agitation. Quick, Master Mo Yang is here. one would be able to prosper through the guidance of Master Mo Yang. This is an opportunity not to be missed. This time, as long as it is a treasure Master Mo Yang appraises for me, I will buy it no matter how much it costs. Indeed, I felt regretful after missing that opportunity by the previous time. The crowds discuss as they ran over. What is happening? Seeing how the crowds are agitated as though a star has arrived, Zhang Xian is puzzled. Master Mo Yang has come. Even the eyes of the vendor are glowing with excitement. Chapter 41, Treasure Speculation. Is that Master Mo Yang you all speak of that incredible? Zhang Xian asks doubtfully. To be capable of inciting the agitation of so many people, causing them to go into a frenzy, who is this Master Mo Yang? Just what kind of magical abilities does he possess? Yes, he is extremely incredible. Reverence can be heard from the vendor's tone. He is an expert appraiser. Appraiser? Zhang Xian nods his head. Appraiser and gourmet are both special occupations. However, the former is a middle nine paths occupation. This occupation may not be as glorious as apothecaries, blacksmiths, and formation masters, but it is capable of sending innumerable people into hysteria. That is because they are able to tell whether an item is a treasure or not just by looking at it. In the field of treasure speculation, they possess golden fingers that make them an existence similar to the god of gambling. Many people would follow behind reverently them the moment they appear in public. Treasure speculation is a commercial activity similar to Earth's rock speculation. There are some ancient treasures whose original radiance is buried under the cloak of rock and faunus. Just by the outer appearance itself, the most one could do is to identify what the artifact is. It is impossible to tell the tier of the treasure and the specifications of it. Rock speculation, information on it left on the bottom. Its true form will only be revealed when the exterior of the artifact is cleaned. There are many treasure dealers who choose not to clean up these treasures and sell them in such a form instead. This is similar to the concept of rock gambling. After which, the buyer would purchase the artifact based on their discernment ability and intuition and clean up its exterior afterward. If they are lucky, it might turn out to be a supreme treasure which would make them millionaires in an instant. On the other hand, it is also possible for them to go bankrupt after investing greatly on some useless object. Heaven on one side and hell on the other. It is due to the very unpredictability of the game that many people are obsessed with it, sometimes even going crazy over it. Appraisers are capable of ascertaining whether a treasure is real or not. Those who are more capable are even able to make a judgment on an artifact before it has been tidied up. Thus, even though the occupation is only of the middle nine paths, the charms of it has attracted many to walk on such a road. After all, it is the Midas's touch. As long as they think that it is a treasure, people would buy it no matter how expensive they are. This Master Mo Yang arrived here 7 days ago. It is rumored that he is an incredible appraiser from some other kingdom. However, back then, no one paid him any notice. The vendor introduces Master Mo Yang excitedly. The first day, when someone wanted to buy a wine bottle-like object that costs about 100 gold coin, Master Mo Yang tried to persuade him otherwise. However, that person refused to listen and in the end, after wiping it clean, it is proven that there is a problem with the object and it isn't worth a single gold coin. The second day, Master Mo Yang persuaded a fighter to spend 200 gold coins to buy a treasure. That person refused to believe him, so he didn't buy it. Thus, Master Mo Yang bought it himself and after it is wiped clean, it turned out to be a mortal pinnacle weapon. It is something that cannot be bought even with several thousand gold coins. He profited several dozen folds in an instant. That filled the fighter with so much regret that the thought of suicide even crossed his mind. By the third day, he was already very famous. There are many people who wanted his guidance on what they should buy. However, only a lucky lad was granted that opportunity. He advised him to buy a small jade bottle that is worth 500 gold coins. At that moment, many people thought that he had erred. No matter how incredible that jade vase is, it can't possibly be worth such a sum. Who knew that the moment it is opened, 6 tier 6 pills were found inside? Someone even offered to buy that vase for 10,000 gold coins on the spot. The vendor's eyes light up, that is to say, a profit of 20-fold. That is too incredible. The next few days, he came by the market every day and he only advised a single person on each day. Even so, the person that he chooses is certain strike it rich. Many people went frenzied over this. Thus, they started to camp here from day to night, hoping to win his favor so that he would offer them his pointer. Now that he's here again, it is not abnormal for those people to be so agitated. Amazing. Hearing the story of Master Mo Yang, Zhang Xian's eyes light up as he nods his head in approval. To be able to appraise the true worth of a treasure under a layer of moss and silt, his eye for discernment must be extraordinary. That's right. I possess the Library of Heaven's Path, so does it mean that I am able to do it as well? Zhang Xian's eyes light up. The Library of Heaven's Path allows one to see through the true nature of things just by coming into contact with it. Other people might need some luck in treasure speculation, but he doesn't need such a thing. There is an easy way for me to strike it rich. Upon such thoughts, Zhang Xian is unable to calm his agitated heart. In rock speculation, before buying a rock, others would need to study the various aspects of the rock to deduce whether jade would come out of it. However, Zhang Xian is different. Just by touching the artifact with his hands, the Library of Heaven's Path in his mind would automatically generate an answer for him. Purchasing the artifact after knowing the answer, it would be a simple matter for him to profit out of this trade. It just happens to his wages are low and he didn't have much money. So, this is a good opportunity for him to give it a try to earn a sum. Following the directions given by the vendor, Zhang Xian soon arrived at the hall where treasure speculation is conducted. As he expected, the sight in here isn't much different from rock speculation. All kinds of treasures are placed on an elevated platform and every single one of them are thickly covered by a layer of moss, silt, rust and rock. It is already a difficult task to make out the shape of the artifacts, needless to say, appraise its value. Let me give it a try first. It is true that Zhang Xian is unable to discern between them just by sight alone. Although Zhang Xian suspects that the Library of Heaven's Path is able to peer into the true nature of the artifact, he is unable to ascertain it. Thus, to verify his theory, he casually touches an artifact that is about the size of a human's head. Wang! His mind jolts and a book appears in the library. Ornamental vase, forged by a 1mo craftsman from Southern Kiln. Flaws. It has cracks on it and could shatter at any moment. The description of the artifact is compiled into a book. Despite being massive, it turned out to be a trash. Zhang Xian comments impassively as his eyes glitter in excitement. Just as he thought. As long as he comes into physical contact with it, he is able to receive a detailed introduction on the artifact. Thus, he need not fear no matter how well hidden these treasures are, he would surely be able to identify them accurately. He casually touches a few of the larger artifacts before him and realizes that none of them are of great value. He continues on with a dozen of the artifacts by the sides, but they aren't really valuable either. Zhang Xian can't help but shake his head. It is no wonder the sellers of these artifacts are able to profit out of it and that appraisers are so well received. The probability of a true treasure appearing among them is way too low. Ah, master, please give me some pointers. I am willing to pay you for your advice. Master, I'm begging you. Just as he is randomly touching the treasures casually, piercing screams echo outside the hall as the sought-after Master Mo Yang walks over. The eyes of those chasing behind him are crimson red, and they look as though they have gone mad. Master, as long as you offer me your pointer, this young girl will obey every single command of yours. Master, I am willing to bear your babies, as long as you guide me. There are even women who are sticking close to him, trying to seduce him with their physical charms. Zhang Xian is flabbergasted. He is way too popular. It seems as though with a single word of Master Mo Yang, countless girls would be willing to serve him tonight. I will be leaving Tianxian Royal City tonight. In order to show my gratitude for the warmth everyone has welcomed me with, I will appraise for 5 people today. You all need not vie over it. There is a chance for everyone who is fated with me. Upon reaching the treasure speculation hall, Master Mo Yang stops. This Master Mo Yang has a snowy white beard, which exposes his advanced age. Yet, his skin is smooth and shiny without a single crease on it, probably because he maintained his skin diligently. His eyes have an aura of superiority, making one feel inadequate in comparison. As such, no one is willing to meet his gaze. Leaving tonight? Master, why don't you stay for a few more days? Why are you leaving so soon? Hearing that the master was about to depart from the city, looks of anxiety appeared on the faces of the crowd. It is rare for an appraiser to appear in Tianxian Royal City, and yet he is leaving just after a few days. I still have matters to attend to. Master Mo Yang's eyebrows shot upwards. He carried with him a demeanor unique to experts, and his disposition was reminiscent of a flowing river, unable to be grasped with certainty. How about this? I will increase the number of treasures I will appraise today from 5 to 10. You all also know that appraising isn't an easy task, it drains one's strength and energy. 10 is already my limit, Master, rest assured. As long as you help me pick out an artifact for me, I am willing to compensate you, a middle-aged man shouted from the crowd. Yeah, we are willing to compensate you. As long as Master chooses something out for me, regardless of the cost of the item I am willing to pay Master the same amount of money. There were quite a few people who started yelling in response to his words. Based on the battle records of the Master, those who had received his pointers had each earned several folds of the amount they had invested initially. As long as they were able to obtain a true treasure, paying a little bit of money in compensation was nothing in comparison. Master Mo Yang flung his arm and interrupted the discussions of the crowd. Frowning, he declared with an aura of superiority, I, Mo Yang, didn't learn appraisal for money. The reason why I am appraising for you all is not to make a wealth. If I really desired money, there is no need for me to help you all. I just have to appraise an artifact and sell it myself, then won't I earn a bigger fortune that way? King, the crowd was stumped for words. His words weren't wrong. With his eye of discernment, he could just buy those artifacts that he had appraised to become treasures for himself, and he would be able to easily earn a big sum out of it. The reason why I promise to appraise for you all is because your warmth has moved me. Money is fleeting to me, similar to the clouds. Money is easy to earn, but friendship is priceless. With both his hands behind his back, Master Mo Yang exuded an aura of an unworldly saint that mortals could only look up to. He continued, the reason why I promise to appraise artifacts for you all is because of our relationship, not for money. If anyone were to continue talking about money, then don't bother asking me to appraise for you. Master, your words are wise. We were too impertinent. We can never hope to match up the Master in terms of morals. I have never conceded to anyone in my entire life. Today, you are the first one I will concede to, Master. Hearing the words of the Master, those who were shouting about paying him previously felt ashamed of themselves. Look at how he carries himself, then look at ourselves. Is there even a basis for comparison? No wonder he is a master while we are just small fries. However, before I start appraising for you all, I would like to say something. An appraiser can only heighten the possibility of attaining a treasure. I cannot promise you all that you all will get a treasure with 100% probability. Master Mo Yang continued. Master, we all are aware that treasure speculation brings about risk. Your ability to discern treasure from trash is far superior to us and we trust in you. We believe in Master's judgment. We know the rules, how can one possibly lay their hands on treasures all the time? However, we believe that Master would definitely be able to help us profit. Everyone started shouting simultaneously. Since everyone believes in me, then I will go ahead and embarrass myself. May I know which friend here would like me to choose an artifact for him? Master Mo Yang surveyed the surrounding. Me. Me. In an instant, innumerable people raised their hands and leapt about in excitement. The appeal of an appraiser was clear to see. Every action of theirs could make people go into frenzy. Alright, you. Master Mo Yang pointed, and a pot-bellied middle-aged man walked out from the crowd, still unable to believe the fact that he had been chosen. Me. Is it really me? It's you. Master Mo Yang nodded his head with a smile on his face, the aura of a master clearly exuding through his actions. Thank you, master. The middle-aged man leapt in excitement as he stared at the elder before him with a desirous gaze. Master, may I ask which one of them I should buy? Let me take a look. Flinging his sleeves, he walked forward. He calmly gazed upon the numerous artifacts placed on the platform. The crowd turned silent along with his actions, not daring to speak out loud for fear of distracting him. Soon, he stopped and placed his palm on one of the artifacts. After feeling the exterior of the artifact gently, he seemed to use some kind of special technique that resulted in the shuddering of his entire body. A moment later, his face paled slightly. Alright, you can buy this one. I have just taken a look at it with my special technique and it is worth quite a sum. Master Mo Yang turned around and informed the middle-aged man. This one. The eyes of the middle-aged man lit up and he rushed forward to take a look. It was a gigantic treasure that had been enveloped by a thick layer of rock, to the point that the entire artifact simply looked like a giant boulder. This kind of treasure was the hardest to clean. Furthermore, given its massive size, being around the height of a human, it would take at least a day or two to chip the stone off of it carefully. Master Mo Yang nodded his head. Since it is a recommendation by the master, I will buy it. The middle-aged man nodded his head and looked towards the dealer. How much does it cost? 50,000 gold coins. The dealer of the treasure speculation hall stepped forward. 50,000? The middle-aged man was taken aback. This wasn't a small sum. Even despite the great wealth he possessed, it was about the limit of what he can come up with. Even a popular high-level teacher like Shin Bairu only earned around 1,000 gold coins every month. She would take several years just to reach 50,000. Buy it. This is a recommendation by the master. If you don't want it, I will take it. Upon seeing his hesitation, someone in the crowd shouted. Indeed, the master's recommendation can't possibly go wrong. It might cost 50,000 now, but if it is worth 1 million after it has been cleaned up, then you would have landed on a gold mine. The previous few times, the treasures that the master appraised were of smaller scale. This time, he seems to have decided to go all out. You really struck it big this time, quite a few people shouted out. Alright, I will buy it. After hesitating for a moment, the middle-aged man nodded his head and footed the bill. Alright, the second one. After the middle-aged man bought the artifact, Master Mo Yang seemed to have also recovered from his exertion and surveyed the surroundings once more. Me. The rest of the crowd raised their hands hurriedly. Glancing over, Zhang Xian noticed the vendor from before whom he had helped solve his problem in the crowd. His hand was raised up high and he waved it with an enthusiastic expression, his strong desire to be chosen by the master clear to see. You. Master Mo Yang chose another person. This time, it was an elderly who was dressed extravagantly. With just a single look, it is apparent that he owned great wealth. Similar to the first time, the master walked past the pile of treasures and soon set his sights upon one of it. 80,000 gold coins. This treasure was even more expensive than the one from before. However, this elderly didn't even hesitate and immediately paid the bill. Isn't this the ornamental vase crafted by a 1mo craftsman from the southern kiln? 80,000 gold coins. After taking a good look at the treasure Master Mo Yang chose for the elder, Zhang Xian blinked his eyes in disbelief. He might be unable to ascertain the value of the other treasures, given that he had yet to take a look at them, but he had already peered into the one Master Mo Yang just chose. It might be big, but only a decorative vase was contained inside. It wasn't even worth a single gold coin, and yet 80,000 gold coins. Could he be off the mark? Just as puzzlement filled his mind, Zhang Xian couldn't help but stare at the righteous-looking face of the master when his mind suddenly jolted and a book appeared in the library. The words Mo Yang was written on it. Could he be using a battle technique at the moment? Based on the unique properties of the Library of Heaven's Path, a book could only be compiled when one showcases his battle technique. Could it be that the fellow was using one at the current moment? Filled with bewilderment, he flipped open the book. This, taking a look at it, Zhang Xian's lip twitched and a bizarre expression appeared on his face. The numerous flaws and the past deeds of Master Mo Yang were recorded on the book. Originally known as Yang Mo, an apprentice appraiser. A scammer in Luzhou Kingdom who made his name as an appraiser, notorious for his frauds to earn wealth and the favor of women. Battle techniques, voice of allurement. Beguile the mind of others through words, making it easier to convince them. Flaws. Number 1, outlawed by the royalty of Luzhou Kingdom. Number 2, Zhang Xian didn't know whether he should laugh or cry. To think that the fellow who had the appearance and disposition of an expert would turn out to be a scammer. For a moment back there, even Zhang Xian thought that he was an amazing figure. Looks like there were quite a few people in the crowd that were his men. The dealer selling the artifacts must be an accomplice of his as well. They worked together to build up his fame out of appraising treasures, so that they could convince people to buy useless trash at a high price, thus profiting out of it. If there is someone conducting a fraud, there must be someone that would be tricked as well. Despite knowing that the other party was a fraudster, Zhang Xian had no intentions to expose him at all. Firstly, he didn't have the evidence to prove it. The matter with the Library of Heaven's Path must not be exposed at all costs. Secondly, those who had been scammed by him had already lost their rationality. If he were to try to convince them that he is a fraudster, it was possible that he might end up getting lynched by them. Zhang Xian would never do deeds that did not benefit him, not to mention that it would bring him a string of troubles. Forget it. I think I will just look through and buy my own items. Couldn't be bothered with the Master Mo Yang, who was busy trying to act cool by putting on an expert's demeanor. Zhang Xian continued to browse through the treasures placed on the platform, casually touching them as he passed by them. A book would be compiled in his mind as long as he came into physical contact with the item. Although the prices of the item weren't reflected in the library, the items with fewer flaws were definitely of higher value. After touching 40 to 50 items, he realized that there was not a single valuable one among them. The absurdly low possibility of finding a treasure in the mix made him shudder. The final chance will be given to you. Just as Zhang Xian was busy touching the artifacts around the room, an authoritative voice resounded within the room. Turning his head to take a look, he saw the worldly expert, Master Mo Yang, looking at him, nodding his head slightly as though to ascertain Zhang Xian's doubts that he had been chosen. Countless gaze were affixed to him and they were filled with envy. Me? Zhang Xian was taken aback. This little friend here, there's no need for you to be so unconfident about yourself. You are the one. Master Mo Yang stroked his beard with a proud expression, as though saying that it was Zhang Xian's honor to be chosen by him. Unconfident? Zhang Xian shook his head. Which part of him looked unconfident? Rather, he was thinking about how he could be so unlucky to be chosen. However, after a short moment, he came to a realization. Those who were here for treasure speculation today were mostly following behind the back of the master. Given that Zhang Xian was the only one strolling about the hall, browsing through and touching the artifacts casually, it would be hard for him to not stand out. I appreciate your goodwill, but I don't need it. Knowing that the other party was a fraudster, he was unwilling to become the gold mine for him to profit from. Zhang Xian waved his hand and continued to look through the pile of treasures. Don't need it. Master Mo Yang frowned. Of the 9 slots he had given out previously, regardless of who they were, they all responded to him in enthusiasm, some even on the verge of fainting due to excessive agitation. Yet, when he chose this fellow, he actually didn't want it. He concealed his darkened face quickly. Waving his hand, he walked forward while stroking his beard and looked at Zhang Xian with a pained expression. Since you're here for treasure speculation, surely you would wish to buy a true treasure. I noticed that you have been browsing around the hall unskillfully, so I decided to offer you some guidance so that you won't end up bankrupt at such a young age. Are you certain that you don't need it? Don't disappoint me by rejecting the goodwill that I hold for you. Lad, if you don't want the slot, give it to me. He actually doesn't want the slot the master gave him. Is there something wrong with his head? It is clear to see that he is abnormal with a single look. I have noticed the fellow previously. He had been touching all of the artifacts in the room. It could be that he is thinking of stealing something. If master were to grant such an opportunity to me, I would probably awake from my sleep smiling every day. Everyone could hear the conversation between Zhang Xian and the master clearly, and they stared at the former as though they were looking at a monster. He is a master appraiser. He will be leaving today after appraising for 10 people. It is such a good opportunity and everyone is vying for it frenziedly. Yet, this fellow doesn't want it. If his brain isn't damaged, what else can it be? I really don't need it. Zhang Xian shook his head. Don't be so quick to reject me. Before Zhang Xian could finish his words, Master Mo Yang interrupted. With deep eyes that reflected his compassion for the world and his determination to save those in suffering, he said, "It isn't easy for a youngster like you to earn some money. I do not hope to earn anything from granting you this slot. It is out of the kindness of my heart that I hope that you do not buy something useless and waste your fortune." Master Mo Yang is too compassionate. Not only is he capable of authenticating treasures, he is also kind. I am going to idolize him. From today onward, I will only respect one person and that is Master Mo Yang. Hearing his words, everyone felt a resurgence of respect for him. Look at how compassionate he is. Despite possessing the ability to appraise treasures, he doesn't use it to earn great wealth. Instead, fearing that other people would suffer from making a wrong judgment, he is willing to expend the additional effort to appraise for him. One probably can't find another person as kind as him, even if one were to roam the world with a lantern. He didn't expect him to be so shameless to declare these words in such a righteous tone. Zhang Xian shook his head, but just as he was about to speak, the other party interrupted him once more. All right, I know what you are thinking. Say no more. The elder looked at him calmly with pride reflecting in his eyes. You know my thoughts? Zhang Xian asked doubtfully. Indeed. You must be thinking that you are too young and do not possess sufficient strength. Even if you successfully obtain a treasure, you don't have the strength to guard it. Instead, you might even attract disaster to yourself. Master Mo Yang said in a know-it-all tone with his hands behind his back. So that's the reason. Not only is the master incredible at appraising treasures, to think that he would have the capability of peering into the thoughts of others as well. It is true that owning a treasure beyond one's ability can attract disaster. It is normal that this lad would have such thoughts. After hearing Master Mo Yang's explanation, the crowd came to a realization. They finally understood why Zhang Xian would reject such a wonderful opportunity. Zhang Xian had no idea how he should respond. This fellow is way too narcissistic. Don't have the strength to guard it. To think that you could think of such a thing. Everyone. Just as Zhang Xian was about to clarify the situation, the master before him glanced at the surroundings and proudly declared, I have chosen this little fellow. So, regardless of what kind of treasures I have picked for him, I hope that you all wouldn't have any greedy thoughts towards it. Otherwise, you will be going against me. If so, don't blame me for being merciless. Master, what are you talking about? How would we dare to lay our hands on a person you have chosen? Master, rest assured. We would definitely not do such a stuff, everyone quickly replied in chorus. Alright, since I have already informed everyone else, feel free to buy it. You don't need to worry about attracting unwanted trouble. Master Mo Yang looked at Zhang Xian with an encouraging smile. Zhang Xian didn't expect that this fellow would be so self-assuming. Just when he was about to speak, the other party interrupted him yet again. You don't need to feel too touched by it. Since I have given the final slot to you, it means that our meeting is fated. It is hard to explain a thing such as fate through rational explanations, so you don't have to feel too thankful to me. I don't wish for anything in return for picking out a treasure for you, it is just purely kindness of my part. No need for this and that. This treasure is it. I can guarantee you that once you buy it, you will definitely rake in great profits. Master Mo Yang didn't even give Zhang Xian an opportunity to talk. He retrieved an item from the pile of artifacts and passed it over. Seeing this treasure, Zhang Xian was speechless. He had already analyzed it previously. It was a trash that could not be more useless. It wasn't even worth a single gold coin. Your loss would be equivalent to the price that you bought it at. Boss, can you collect the bill from this little friend here? Passing the treasure over, Master Mo Yang gestured for the artifact dealer to come. A total of 30,000 gold coins. The dealer walked over. Hurry up and foot the bill, this is the most valuable treasure I have appraised tonight. Little friend, you have struck it rich. Seeing how Zhang Xian remained motionless, the elder stroked his beard and a doting smile appeared on his face. After you return, clean up the outer layer. Try not to be too agitated by your newfound wealth. Agitated? Agitated your head. Upon having his words interrupted multiple times, Zhang Xian could no longer rein his temper in. If you want to scam others, go ahead, I won't interfere in your affairs. Why did you have to look for me? Is it that enjoyable to be trying to act cool? Didn't you notice how hard I have tried to spare your pride? Chapter 44, I will choose one, what? That little fellow dares to say that of Master Mo Yang? Master helped him pick out a treasure out of goodwill, and yet he claims that the master is trying to deceive him? What an arrogant lad. Hearing Zhang Xian's words, the crowd is dumbfounded for an instant before bursting into commotion. Is that lad's head all right? The master went through so much difficulty to help him choose a treasure, and yet he says that. Fraud, acting cool. What did you say? Apparently, he didn't expect the young man to respond in such a manner. Master Mo Yang's face darkens. Little friend, do you have some kind of misunderstanding against me? Misunderstanding? You should be more than aware of what I am saying. If you want to scam someone, go ahead. It's none of my business, and I am not interested in interfering in your affairs as well. I choose my own artifacts while you scam your victims, let's stay out of each other's path. So, stop putting on that haughty look of yours in front of me. Zhang Xian waves him away, annoyed. He had never bore any goodwill towards scammers. Even so, as long as the other party doesn't get on his nerves, he is willing to let the issue slide. Yet, this fellow intends to make use of him to act cool, he is truly courting his death. What audacity! Master Mo Yang's face pales and he flings his sleeves, his actions carrying an aura of righteousness with it. I have attained the qualifications of an appraiser 30 years ago, and I have helped numerous people out of difficulty. My conscience is clear. There has never been a single person who had accused me of scamming them. Everyone here can bear testimony to that. When had I ever scammed any one of you? Master Mo Yang is compassionate and saves those who are in precarious situations. How could he possibly be a fraudster? That falsifying youngster over there, you must be tired of living. Master, don't get angry. I will teach that fellow a lesson in your place so that he will learn to not to spout lies in the future. With just a few words, Master Mo Yang manages to stir up the rage of everyone here. Every single of them looks at Zhang Xian as though he had murdered their family. Attained the qualifications of an appraiser 30 years ago. Conscience is clear. Zhang Xian is speechless. You are just a small apprentice appraiser, must you try so hard to act as though you are bigger than that? Your skin is much thicker than I thought. No wonder you are able to become scammer wanted by the Luzhu kingdom. Not only is your skin unbelievably thick, your ability to adapt to abrupt changes is truly frightening. Other scammers will panic when they are exposed before others. Yet, this fellow skillfully reverses the tip of the arrow back towards him, making it hard for him to step down from the current situation. If Zhang Xian doesn't possess the Library of Heaven's Path, upon seeing how righteously the other party is acting, he would have surely suspected that he might be making a mistake. However, with the library in his hands, since it is stated on it that he is a scammer, then he is definitely one. Everyone, calm down. Seeing that everyone's anger is stirred and that he is on the offense now, Master Mo Yang waves his hands and says, I am a forgiving person. If you can apologize for the words you said a moment ago, I can choose to not pursue the matter. Otherwise, you should be well aware of the punishment awaiting you for intentionally slandering me. Punishment? Zhang Xian shakes his head. It isn't that hard to verify whether you are a scammer or not and whether I am lying or not. As long as they clean the outer coating off the artifacts they just bought, we will know the results instantly. What is the use of speaking so much nonsense here? Clean it? Master Mo Yang seems to have predicted that he would say such words. He replies calmly, I have already said previously that I will be leaving Tianxian City by tonight. The artifacts that I have chosen for them are all large in size and will require at least half a day before their true form emerges. I still have urgent matters to attend to, and I cannot delay my departure for that long a time. Why, are you going to say that the reason why I am unwilling to stay here any longer is because I feel guilty so that you can make use of this to accuse me? At this point, the elderly swings his arms and exudes a haughty disposition. I, Mo Yang, lived an upright life, so there's no reason for me to fear your accusations. However, I had helped you pick out an artifact out of goodwill on my part, only to have you accuse me of scamming you. Since you don't have concrete proof, it is an act of slander. Do you know the consequences of slandering a master appraiser? Hearing these words, Zhang Xian realizes that he is still underestimating the shamelessness of the other party. As expected of a professional scammer, to have already thought of a plan to back away if the situation were to turn awry. He had already clearly expressed that he will be leaving Tianxian Kingdom tonight, thus paving an escape path beforehand. Before Zhang Xian could even speak, he was already counterattacked. Right now, even if he were to say that he is afraid of waiting until the artifacts are cleaned thoroughly, no one will believe his words. Furthermore, Zhang Xian really doesn't have any evidence to prove that he is a scammer. The secret on the Library of Heaven's Path cannot be revealed. Even if it is revealed, there must be at least someone here who is willing to believe him. Lad, kneel down and apologize to the master now. To dare to say that the master is a scammer, do you think that I dare not to kill you right now? Where did this audacious beast come from, to dare to lay doubt upon the master's innocence? Upon seeing how righteous and indignant the master is, many people choose to believe in him instantly, and a lot of them start to chastise Zhang Xian. These people are completely furious. Those who were scammed had self-hypnotized themselves due to their reluctance to accept the claim that they have been scammed. No matter who it is, if someone dares to interrupt their beautiful dream, they will be refuted adamantly and rebuked. From their viewpoint, Master Mo Yang is an upright person, so how can he possibly be a scammer? What kind of joke is this? Since this fellow dares to claim that the master is a scammer, he should be skilled in appraising, right? If you are that capable, why don't you choose one artifact out for us to see? If the one you chose turns out to be trash, you shall stop putting on an act here and scram. A voice from the crowd snorts. Indeed. Since you said that I am a scammer, and you are unwilling to accept the artifact I chose out for you, I'm sure you must be knowledgeable in appraising as well. At this point, Master Mo Yang nods his head and looks over. How about this? I will give you a chance. We will each choose a simple and small artifact together so that we can clean it quickly for appraisal. As long as you are able to profit out of the object you chose, I will acknowledge that you are skilled and I will let the issue drop. But if you choose a useless trash, then I'm sorry, but you will have to buy the treasure I just picked out for you, kneel down and apologize to me. You want to compete with me in a battle of appraisal? Just a moment ago, Zhang Xian was still in a dilemma on coming up with evidence against him. However, hearing his words, he is slightly taken aback and he almost laughs on the spot. This fellow must have a screw loose. Zhang Xian himself possesses the Library of Heaven's Path. If he were to claim that he is second in appraising, no one would dare to claim that they are first in the world. Are you sure that your head didn't get jammed between doors? However, after giving it some careful thought, he is also able to comprehend the rationale behind the other party's action. In the other party's perspective, Zhang Xian is only an 18 or 19-year-old youth, so what can he possibly know about appraising? Besides, since he was able to help others profit a few days ago, he must have prepared several means beforehand. If the both of them appraise concurrently and Zhang Xian was to choose a useless artifact, he is able to make use of this opportunity to further build up his prestige. Perhaps, he might even be able to attract a few fools to invest frenziedly. Why? You don't dare to accept the challenge? Master Mo Yang is resolute to eat Zhang Xian whole. Fine. Since the other party is seeking some thrill, how can Zhang Xian bear to refuse him? Alright, then I'll go first. Master Mo Yang flings his robe and walks along the long elevated platform with large strides. He quickly stops before a palm-size artifact and picks it up. This object is covered by a thick layer of rock, such that even the shape of the object inside cannot be ascertained, needless to say, to determine whether it is valuable or not. Dealer, how much does this cost? Picking up the object, Master Mo Yang inquires. This object is small in size and there isn't much spirit energy movement that can be felt from it. 200 gold coins. The dealer replies and he walks over to Master Mo Yang. Alright, find someone to help me clean this up. Passing over the money, Master Mo Yang says calmly. Yes. The dealer grabs hold of the treasure and sends it to the hall at the back. A moment later, he comes out with a golden toad in his hands. With an excited look, he says, "Congratulations, master. It is the shed skin of spirit-horned golden toad." What is a spirit-horned golden toad? Spirit-horned golden toad is a tier 6 savage beast. Of its entire body, its most valuable part is its skin. It only molts once in its entire life. This object can be used in medicine and it is extremely valuable. As expected of Master Mo Yang, to be able to pick out a treasure amidst everything else. Your ability of discernment is incredible. Upon hearing that it is the shed skin of the spirit-horned golden toad, the hall bursts into commotion. Many people may not know of this item, so why don't you just state a price? It will be much more spectacular that way. With his head up high, Master Mo Yang constantly exudes an acting cool aura as he speaks flatly. This object is worth 2,000 gold coins. The dealer exclaims. 2,000 gold coins. After buying it with 200 gold coins, the price grows to 2,000 gold coin in an instant. A revenue of tenfold. This is too incredible. As expected of the master. If you can profit so much through a small object, then surely I will be able to make a killing over that giant artifact you chose for me previously. Upon seeing this sight, the eyes of the slightly worried crowd starts burning fanatically again. A master isn't just for show, a clear difference in standards shows the moment he makes a move. Alright, it's your turn. Master Mo Yang gestures with a cold gaze. Zhang Xian nods his head. Knowing that the other party is a scammer, he is aware that he would surely have a contingency plan. Even so, he didn't expect his contingency plan to be so incredible. He has to choose something at least of the same level as him. Can I choose the artifact first and decide on a price after the artifact has been cleaned? Stepping forward, Zhang Xian suddenly recalls something and looks at the dealer. No way. You have to pay first before cleaning it. This is a part of the rules. Otherwise, what if it turns out to be a trash after you clean it and you no longer want it, or if it turns out too valuable and we no longer want to sell it? It would be impossible to resolve such situations. The dealer states coldly. In order to prevent such contention, one has to pay a pawn after deciding on an artifact in treasure speculation. This is equivalent to signing a contract, no one will be able to turn their back on it. All right then. After being informed of the rules, Zhang Xian can only nod his head. Then, turning over to look at the artifacts, he says without blushing, "Come, point out for me which artifacts are worth less than 8 gold coins in this pile. I will choose one from them." Chapter 45, Tip Poo. What did he just say? Surely I heard wrongly. 8 gold coins and below. Sound of water spitting. Hearing Zhang Xian's proud voice, everyone spits a mouthful of saliva. All of them stare at him flabbergasted, with an expression similar to how one looks at a lunatic. Are you for real? In treasure speculation, one is gambling for the thrill and the fortune. No matter what artifact one chooses, it is worth a minimum of 100 gold coins. 8 gold coins. What the heck do you expect to buy with that? Is this fellow's brain still functioning? 8 gold coins. Waha, you might as well grab a pile of mud and return now. You still dare to say 8 gold coins and below. There isn't a single object that is that cheap here, okay? A split moment later, tears streamed down the faces of those amidst the crowd due to excessive laughter. The hell, lad, can you stop being so hilarious? How do you intend to find an object worth below 8 gold coins here? You can't even buy anything even if you had 80 gold coins. Why? You don't even have an artifact that is worth 8 gold coin in a treasure speculation hall. Aren't you embarrassed? Disregarding the mockery the crowd is making out of him, Zhang Xian stares at the dealer proudly. His previous self had only left him with a total of 8 gold coins. He is unable to fork out a single coin more even if he wanted to. Pooh! The people in the crowd stare at one another and burst into laughter once again. You are the one who should be embarrassed. This is just like someone running to a realtor and hoping to buy a flat with a single gold coin. Big brother, is your head really alright? There is no way there is an artifact here that is worth only 8 gold coins. How about this, you can freely choose from this pile of items. After you're done, I will pay for you. If you make an earning, it will all go to you. If you lose, we will just go by what we promised earlier, an apology will do. Master Mo Yang stares at the young man contemptuously with both of his hands placed behind him, revealing an attitude of superiority. As expected of Master Mo Yang, what incredible generosity. This young man is a clown, coming here just to make a fool of himself. I concede to the master's morals. Hearing that the master is willing to pay in the stead of his adversary, the crowd can't help but feel impressed by his generosity. Do you see that? Look at how the master carries himself, then look at that lad. Forget it, it is better not to compare the two of them. I am afraid that I might vomit. Are you sure? Zhang Xian's eyes twinkle. Knowing that the other party is a scammer, Zhang Xian doesn't feel any guilt spending his money. Of course, I always mean what I say. Master Mo Yang seems just like a saint who has descended to the mortal world, unsullied by worldly dirt. Hee, I shall start picking then. Zhang Xian smiles faintly, walks over to the platform and scans through the artifacts in the pile. Since the other party chose a small one, naturally, he is restricted to choosing smaller items as well. Besides, the larger the artifact, the longer it takes to clean it up. This lad is too shameless. Indeed. I have no idea why would Master Mo Yang treat him so well. If I were to meet such a fellow, I would have surely smacked him away with a palm of mine long ago. To insult the master and even use his money to buy an artifact. Shameless. Seeing how the young man isn't ashamed at all, rather, he is browsing through the items excitedly, the crowd is speechless. They have met thick-skinned people before, but they had never met one whose skin is that thick. You were the one who insulted the master as a scammer first. No matter what, the both of you should be in a hostile relationship. Under such circumstances, don't you feel embarrassed using the other party's money to buy an artifact to compete with him? That's enough of you. Ignoring the discussions of the crowd, Zhang Xian touches every treasure that enters his vision. Soon, he also chooses a treasure of the size of a palm and hands it over. It costs 200 gold coins as well. The dealer takes a look at it and says flatly, "Master, hurry up and foot the bill." Unashamed, Zhang Xian gestures the master to hurry up. A dark line streaks across Master Mo Yang's face. He intended to ridicule the other party, but he didn't expect that he would accept his help so proudly, to the point that he seems like his servant instead now. Suppressing the urge to strangle the other party, he pays the sum. Alright, let's clean it up here. With everyone watching here, no one will be able to accuse me of falsifying the results. Zhang Xian gestures. Let's see whether you can continue being so haughty after the object is cleaned up. The actions of the young man also infuriate the dealer. He casually fetches the tools used for cleaning artifacts and starts to clean it bit by bit. Soon, the moss and rock covering the object fall off and the true form of the item inside is revealed. It is a semi-transparent rock that emits a warm glow. This is Linglong Stone. Observing the appearance of the stone, someone from the crowd shouts in disbelief. What is Linglong Stone? Some in the crowd recognizes it while others don't. You don't even know this? Linglong Stone is one of the main ingredients to crafting a phantom tier equipment. Every single stone is extremely valuable, and it is the type of good which is always short in supply. The person who spoke earlier explains in agitation. Equipment can be split into God, Saint, Spirit, Phantom and Mortal. In a location like Tianxian Kingdom, there is almost no mortal pinnacle equipment, needless to say, phantom tier equipment. Thus, every single one of it can be sold at an exorbitant price. As the main ingredient to crafting phantom tier equipment, the moment it is put up for auction, countless families and experts will go frenzied over it. How much can it be sold for? Those who don't recognize this item can't help but ask. It is difficult to perceive an item's value just by its rarity itself. The best way to ascertain its value is still through its price. I've heard that the Luzhu Kingdom had auctioned one of it a few years ago. It was smaller than this, around the size of a chicken's egg, but it was already priced at 50,000 gold coins. Look at how big this one is, not to mention its level of purity. No matter what, it is worth at least 100,000. The one speaking swallows his saliva at this point. 100,000. Everyone on the spot almost goes mad. An object bought for 200 gold coin is sold for 100,000. A revenue of 500 times in an instant. Is this for real? This. The dealer's hands tremble as he stares in disbelief at the object in his hands. As a dealer of a treasure speculation hall, he is capable of identifying plenty of treasures and is aware of their prices. He knows that there isn't a single error in the words of the person who just spoke. This item is definitely worth that price. Impossible. I must be seeing things. Seeing the shock washing through the crowd, Master Mo Yang's face twitches. He thought that the other party would be unable to choose anything of value and that he would be able to make use of it to display his superiority once more. Never in his dreams did he expect for such an incredible treasure to be chosen. Both the items are priced at 200 gold coins, yet his was only sold for 2,000 whereas the other party's one is valued at 100,000. Isn't the difference too massive? I will be auctioning this Linglong Stone now, the highest bidder wins. Aware of what this object is beforehand, Zhang Xian isn't surprised in the least. He grabs the treasure from the hands of the dealer and gazes at the crowd. I offer 100,000. The one who recognized the Linglong stone earlier shouts his bid first. 100,000 gold coin may be a huge sum, but compared to a treasure like Linglong stone, the latter is much more valuable. I offer 110,000. There are a few within the crowd that are aware of its value as well. 120000. Soon, the price is finalized at 153000, and the stone is taken by a wealthy middle-aged man. This is a banknote from Tianchuan Bank. With this, you are able to withdraw 153,000 gold coins from any single bank in Tianxian City. The middle-aged man grabs the Linglong stone and passes over a stack of banknotes. The weight of gold coins is considerable, so moving them around isn't very convenient. Thus, just like in the ancient times of Earth, banknotes and similar paper notes started appearing. After taking a look, he knows that those notes are real and places it into his embrace. Then, he retrieves a banknote worth 1,000 and walks over to Master Mo Yang. You paid 200 gold coins for me earlier. Here is 1,000, keep the change. Treat it as a tip. Chapter 46, Exposing the Scam, Tip. Hearing these words, Master Mo Yang staggers and almost pukes blood. Tip your head. I am a master appraiser, I don't lack money. Like I will take your tip with a hardened face, Master Mo Yang is on the verge of exploding. At this point, he will be placed in an awkward situation regardless of whether he takes it or not. If he takes it, it means he would be accepting the tip of others' tip. In that case, he would be no different from a waiter or a servant. If he refuses, just the action of the other party alone causes him to feel embarrassed. Suddenly, a thought floats into his mind. Could the lad have foreseen this in advance? That's why he took his money, so as to intentionally cause him embarrassment. You don't want it? Great, I can save 1,000 then. You must know that one can buy a lot of things with 1,000 gold coins. Sensing his hesitation, Zhang Xian places the note back into his embrace and mutters by the side. Hearing these words, Master Mo Yang is on the verge of collapsing. You sure are lucky, choosing the right one. However, this doesn't mean that you have won. Alright, I still have things to attend to, so it is about time for me to leave. With coldness in his gaze, Master Mo Yang stands up, flings his arm and prepares to leave. His decisive action impresses Zhang Xian. As expected of a professional scammer. The moment things go awry, he leaves. His decisiveness is truly worthy of respect. Regardless of whether Zhang Xian is lucky or he is truly skilled in appraising, he would no longer be treated as a lunatic after earning so much in an instant. Rather than grinding it out with him, it is much wiser for him to end it here. After all, he has already profited greatly from appraising for the others. The longer the argument carries on for, the higher the possibility of something going wrong for him. The results of our competition isn't conclusive yet, why are you in such a hurry to leave? Given Master Mo Yang's previous actions, there is no way Zhang Xian can allow him to escape just like this. Indeed, Master, don't be in such a hurry to leave. You also made a profit from the item you bought, this can't be considered as his victory. Master has only underestimated his enemy, that's why he didn't choose the most valuable treasure from the start. We believe in you. After numerous days of effort, the master has roped in a large group of loyal followers. I have already said before that I have matters to attend to. Farewell. Master Mo Yang waves his hand. Even if you have urgent matters to attend to, I doubt that a few minutes will matter much. There are still things that I would like your guidance on. Zhang Xian blocks the other party's escape path. What kind of things? Master Mo Yang stops and harumphs coldly. This friend, seeing him cease his movements, Zhang Xian smiles faintly and stares at the elderly who had obtained the slot for appraisal and bought the ornamental vase. What is it? The elderly walks over. He is still hugging the artifact containing the ornamental vase as though he is hugging a precious treasure. Given its size, he will be unable to clean it up within a short period of time. Thus, he chose to stay to join in the spectacle. If I'm not wrong, the item you spent 80,000 gold coins to purchase is an ornamental vase. Furthermore, it is a broken one and it is not even worth a single gold coin. Zhang Xian points to his artifact and states. Ornamental vase? Not even worth a single cent. What kind of joke is this? This is something the master chose for me. The face of the elderly darkens as he chastises Zhang Xian. Cleaning up such a large artifact will take a long time. At the minimum, you will require at least a day. How about this, you smash it on the floor directly and if I'm wrong, I will pay you 80,000 gold coins. However, if I'm right, it means that you have fallen into his trap and got scammed. If so, you can just demand the money back from the one who scammed your money. Zhang Xian offers with a grin. Smash it? The elderly is taken aback by his words. The words of the other party make sense. Cleaning up such a large artifact will surely take a lot of time. However, if he were to smash it on the floor, it would only take an instant. If it was truly as the other party claims and it turns out to be just an ornamental vase, then he would have made a big loss. Even for him, a loss of 80,000 gold coins is enough to send him into bankruptcy. If the artifact turns out to be a fake, he will probably commit suicide. If the young man were to say these words a moment ago, he would simply scoff and disregard his words. However, the other party has just bought a treasure which won him a revenue of 765 times. This very fact makes his determination wavers. Worry not, a true treasure won't shatter that easily. Even if you were to smash it, it is very unlikely for it to break. You won't make a loss. Sensing his hesitation, Zhang Xian pushes on. All right. After a short moment of contemplation, the elderly casually smashes the artifact in his embrace on the floor. Dang lang. With a crisp sound, the giant artifact shatters apart, and its true form reveals itself amidst the moss and mud. Indeed, it turns out to be a shattered vase. It is really an ornamental vase? After taking a look, the crowd verifies that it is indubitably an ornamental vase. Even if this object is an antique left behind from the ancient times, it still isn't worth much money. Needless to say 80,000 gold coin, no one would buy it for even 10 gold coins. What is going on here? Seeing the broken fragments on the floor, the elderly freezes in shock. Initially, he had placed all of his hope on this artifact to earn him big bucks, yet it all ended up like this. How can he possibly not go berserk? What is happening? You will have to ask this Master Mo Yang. If I'm not wrong, he worked together with the dealer to build his fame as an appraiser so as to attract everyone's attention. Then, through his appraisals, he is able to get you all to spend big bucks to buy the artifacts he decides upon, thus profiting from it. Zhang Xian looks at Master Mo Yang and the dealer, and the corners of his mouth creep upwards. As for why he was able to choose objects of high value, the reason is simple. Since the cleaning process did not happen before you, they are able to switch the item inside with another treasure they prepared beforehand and claim that it is the one he had just picked out. Anyway, no one saw the cleaning process, so no one is able to refute his claims. Is that true? Hearing Zhang Xian's words, everyone's trust in Master Mo Yang wavers. After picking out a treasure before everyone else, Zhang Xian successfully exposes a fake treasure that Master Mo Yang appraised. The crowd who had complete trust in Master Mo Yang a moment ago is starting to get suspicious. Dang lang. While they are still busy contemplating over who is right and who is wrong, another crisp sound echoes amidst the crowd. Another fellow who had received the appraisal slot smashed the artifact he bought as well. This time, it isn't an ornamental vase but a useless pottery. It is clear with a single look that it isn't worth much. Fake, it is a fake. I spent 60,000 gold coins to buy this. They are scammers. Seeing the broken shards on the floor, those who bought the appraised items know that they have been scammed as well and started roaring frenziedly. Peng! Hong! Puha! With the two precedents, the remaining few can no longer hold it in. One after another, towards the artifacts they just bought, they throw, smash with a hammer or cut it open with a blade. Taking a look at what is inside, all of their faces pale. They are all fakes, they are all worthless trash. We have been duped. This Master Mo Yang is a fraud. If there was only one fake, the crowd would still be able to accept it. After all, even an appraiser can't possibly pick treasures out of artifacts 100% of the time. However, when all 9 of the artifacts that he had appraised turn out to be trash, it can only mean to say that he is a scammer. To think that you still acted so compassionate and benevolent, Pui. You are just a fraudster. The berserk crowd surrounds Master Mo Yang and the dealer tightly as they stare at them intensely. At this moment, even the thought of killing them flashes through their minds. After all, no one's money came from the sky. If no one saw through the sham, and they only realized that it is a scam after they are done cleaning, who can they find to redress their grievances? Don't listen to the nonsense of this lad. Even master appraisers have moments when they are off. I am truly unacquainted with this artifact dealer. Seeing the murderous glare in the eyes of the crowd, Master Mo Yang realizes that it is no longer possible to fool them and roars in anger instead. If it was a moment ago, the crowd would have definitely listened to his words. But now no one pays him any heed anymore. Peng 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 peng. The sound of someone hitting on a human sandbag echoes from the congregation of the crowd. Following which, cries of agony can be heard. In this ordeal, not even the artifact dealer is spared. As for the initiator of the incident, Zhang Xian, he had sneaked off the moment chaos broke out inside. The world is humongous, and every day, there are people who are going about scamming others, and there are people who are scammed by them. He isn't an omnipotent god, and it is impossible for him to interfere in all of them. If it wasn't for Master Mo Yang's excessive mouth, he couldn't be bothered to exposing him. Now that those who were scammed are aware of the situation, naturally, they have their own way of dealing with the problem. There is no need for Zhang Xian to worry about them. Huang Yu bookstore, walking slowly along the market, a giant store appears before him. In it, there are all kinds of books filling the bookshelves within. The store deals with medicinal herbs, weapons, savage beasts, and naturally, books. That is also his main motive for choosing to enter this store. Let me take a look. Zhang Xian lifts his leg and steps into the store. Chapter 47, Huang Yu, Gongzi, are you here to buy books or to browse through books? Gongzi a gentleman. The moment he steps into the bookstore, a young lady steps forward to welcome him. Around 17 to 18-year-old, her pure face and appearance are particularly alluring. Even though she is still slightly lacking compared to Shinbairu Laosher, she is considered as an exceptional beauty. Is there secret manuals on Fighter 6 Dan cultivation technique here? Zhang Xian reveals his objective here to her. Fighter 6 Dan cultivation technique? Gongzi must be joking. Such secret manuals on cultivation technique cost a hefty sum. A little business like ours doesn't have the qualifications to be selling them. If you want some entrance-level cultivation technique manuals, we have a few of it here though. The lady shakes her head. The books sold in their store mainly consists of human geography, biographies of reputable figures and such. Cultivation techniques are something highly confidential to cultivators, so how can it be allowed to be browsed through or sold freely? Then do you know any stores that sell them? Confirming his suspects that the manuals aren't on sale here, Zhang Xian sighs and looks at her in expectation. Sell them? The lady shakes her head. It is impossible for anyone in Tianxian Royal City to be selling cultivation techniques of this level. However, some experts do collect quite a few of them. If you have an amicable relationship with them, it might be possible for them to allow you to look through them. Allow me to look through them. Taking a look is great as well. Zhang Xian's eyes light up. With the Library of Heaven's Path, there is no need for him to buy the books. As long as he is able to lay his hand on those books, just by flipping through it, a corresponding book will be compiled automatically. Do you know any seniors who collect such manuals in their residence, and allow others to browse through them? He can't resist asking. Allow others to browse through them. The lady frowns, and just as she is about to shake her head, she suddenly thought of something and slyness flits across her eyes. She smiles and says, I do know of one. However, he is known for being eccentric. When he is in high spirits, he won't mind even if you were to take all of the books in his house. But if he is in a bad mood, ignoring the fact whether he will allow you to browse through his books or not, he might not even allow you to walk through his door. Such a person exists in the world. Zhang Xian frowns. He continues, then, may I trouble you to guide me to seek that senior? It just happens that there isn't much business today. I will bring you there now. The young lady smiles. Thanks for the trouble. He doesn't expect the lady to be so helpful as to bring him there personally, so he nods his head in gratitude. With the lady leading ahead, the two of them walk out of the bookstore. Through their idle chatter, Zhang Xian learns that the name of the lady is Huang Yu. This bookstore is opened by her. Judging from the appearance of the bookstore, it seems to be newly opened, at maximum around 10 days or so. You are saying that there are many books in the home of that senior? After walking a distance, Zhang Xian can't resist asking. Naturally. That senior is a famous scholar in the entire kingdom, and he was once Emperor Shenjui's tutor. He is a person who is able to freely go in and out of the kingdom's book collection vault. Do you think that it is possible for the books in his home to not be many? Huang Yu says reverently. Emperor Shenjui's teacher. That means, he used to be an emperor's tutor. Zhang Xian is stunned. The current emperor of Tianxian Kingdom is named Shenjui. No one is aware of the specific level of his cultivation, they only know that he is the strongest person in the entire kingdom, unmatched by anyone. The tutors of such a figure are carefully hand-picked and have to undergo numerous selection processes before their positions are confirmed. Even the principal of Hongtian Academy doesn't possess such qualifications. He is his painting and calligraphy teacher, and not his martial arts teacher. Even so, he is still an incredible figure who is deeply respected by the emperor. At this point, Huang Yu's face turns solemn as she warns Zhang Xian, this old Mr. Lu Chen is an elegant person who is very particular about decorum. He detests juniors talking nonsense before him. When we arrive, it is best for you not to speak too easily. Otherwise, it will be impossible for you to be given permission to browse through his books. Zhang Xian nods his head. I also have my own matters to attend to. When we arrive, you will have to deal with the matter of borrowing books yourself, don't mess up my matter along with yours. Huang Yu glances over with her beautiful eyes as she speaks. Don't worry, I won't put you in a difficult position. Comprehending the meaning behind her words, Zhang Xian smiles in response. He is already grateful for the fact that she is willing to bring him over. If he is capable, he will be able to borrow the books. However, even if he ends up in failure, nothing can be done about it. No matter what, he is still a teacher. How can he put a young lady in an awkward position? The old mister prefers juniors who are more obedient. No matter what the old mister says, you just have to nod your head. You should also know that a great scholar like him tend to be more conservative, so his thoughts may diverge from that of us, youngsters. Just try not to squabble with him over these. Huang Yu reminds him once again. The two of them soon walks out of the market. After passing by a series of alleys that would leave one confused, they arrive at a residence. This is the residence of old Mr. Lu Chen. Huang Yu points towards the residence. Zhang Xian raises his head to take a look at the entire residence. It isn't as vast and extravagant as he expected. It seems like the residence of an ordinary household, and there isn't even a door plaque at the entrance. If it weren't for Huang Yu leading him here, he might have thought that this is the residence of a normal civilian. This is the place where the emperor's tutor lives. Zhang Xian finds it hard to believe. Old Mr. Lu Chen lives a thrifty life. There were many times when Emperor Shenjui offered to reconstruct his residence, but he firmly rejected the offers. Noticing his doubt, Huang Yu explains. Zhang Xian nods his head as his respect for the emperor's tutor grows. Despite possessing such social status, he is able to remain incorruptible and thrifty without being changed by power. It seems like this old mister is a sentimental and straightforward person. Da. Just as they are about to knock on the door, a carriage rushes over. The distinct sound of the galloping of the horse echoes through the alley. Jia! The carriage stops beside the two. A young man parts the curtains of the carriage and walks out. He is a 17 to 18-year-old youth dressed in white. Tall and slim, his face is exquisite, similar to a white jade. With a single look, it is clear to see that he is Scion, and he exudes an aura of superiority. Xiao Yu? You are here too. Xiao Yu a little Yu seeing Huang Yu, the white-clothed Gongzi's eyes twinkle and immediately tries to fawn upon her. Gongzi gentleman, I am Huang Yu, don't give me such a mushy nickname. We aren't that familiar with one another yet. Huang Yu curls her lips contemptuously. Given the relationship between our families, it isn't too much to call you Xiao Yu. Besides, wasn't that how I called you when you were younger as well? Are you here to visit old Mr. Lu Chen as well? The white-clothed Gongzi smiles and flings his robe. He strikes a pose, as though declaring that victory is in his hands. Don't think too much about that object. It will definitely come under my possession. It is hard to tell whose it will be at this point. I only fear that you will cry then. Huang Yu doesn't step down to his taunting. We'll see then. The white-clothed Gongzi chuckles. At this point, he finally notices Zhang Xian and frowns. Who is this? Xiao Yu, why did you bring an outsider here? No matter who is it that I bring, it is none of your business. Huang Yu purses her lips, not sparing the other party any face. Lad. No matter who you are, I advise you to stay away from Xiao Yu. She isn't someone a small figure like you can lay your hands upon. Looking at Zhang Xian, the white-clothed Gongzi narrows his eyes and spits coldly. Zhang Xian didn't expect to be threatened when he is here only to borrow a book. A strong feeling of helplessness surges through him. Using the words from his previous world, he is lucky like a dead mongoose. All Huang Yu did is to bring him here, they are just barely acquaintances. Do you really have to go that far? Threatened by someone, Zhang Xian feels displeased. He stretches his back and waves away his concerns. You interfere too much. My apologies, but I don't think that you need to concern yourself over this. Fine, I hope that you don't regret your words. He didn't expect that a lad he had never met before would dare to speak to him in such a manner. The white-clothed Gongzi's eyebrows shoot up and his eyes narrow. Turning around, he ignores the other two and walks over to the front of the courtyard to knock on the door. Why are you so rash? As the white-clothed man knocks on the door, Huang Yu's anxious voice sounds by Zhang Xian's ears. Why? Zhang Xian looks at her in puzzlement. Do you know who he is, for you to dare to speak to him like that? Seeing the oblivious look on the other party's face, Huang Yu feels a little helpless. It is truly hard to tell whether this fellow has a strong heart or that there is something wrong with his head. Who cares who he is? Zhang Xian shrugs. What does his identity have to do with me? Seeing the expression on the young man's face, Huang Yu is starting to doubt if she had brought a fool over. Seeing the indifferent look in his eyes, she is able to tell that he truly isn't bothered over the identity of the person he just offended. At a loss for words, she could only introduce the person before to him. He is the sole son of Zhenan Wang, by Sun. Zhenan Wang is known as the #1 authoritative subject of Tianxian Kingdom, his position beneath only that of Emperor Shenjue. Offending his only son means that it will be hard for him to make a living in Tianxian Kingdom. Initially, she thought that revealing the identity of the other party will induce fear in this fellow and that he would ask her how he should resolve the problem. Contrary to her expectations, Zhang Xian looks over with a confused expression. Zhenan Wang, who is he? Chapter 48, What the heck is this toy? Huang Yu feels the vision before her spin and she almost faints on the spot. To not even know Jinan Wang. Dude, are you really from Tianxian Kingdom? Are you sure you didn't pop up from some remote corner? At this moment, she is starting to regret bringing this fellow here. Given how ignorant he is, it is likely he will say something wrong and pull her down along with him. Actually, Zhang Xian really isn't putting on an act, he is truly ignorant on this matter. His previous self is the worst teacher in the academy. All along, he has been occupied with how he could stop himself from being expelled from the school. Thus, he never tried to look into the internal affairs of the kingdom and knows very little about it as well. The previous him doesn't even know what section, division and bureau are, so how could he possibly know who Jinan Wang is? Jia. Just as she is about to explain the glorious war accomplishments of Jinan Wang, the door in front of them creaks and opens. A butler-like person appears in their view, welcoming them. Uncle Cheng, I am prepared now. I hope to receive Master's guidance again. Towards the butler he calls Uncle Cheng, the white-clothed Gongzi Bai Sun speaks respectfully, the arrogance he had a moment ago absent in his voice. Gongzi-gentleman, so it is by Gongzi and Huang Gunyang. Please follow me to wait at the lounge. Upon catching sight of the three standing at the entrance of the door, the butler bows and ushers them in. Gongzi-a gentleman, Gunyang-a lady/miss. The three of them follow behind him into the residence. Zhang Xian gazes around the surroundings. The residence may not be extravagant in its renovations, inferior even when compared to certain parts of the academy, but it brings about a wholly different atmosphere. Every moment of stillness and every movement in the courtyard feels like a tranquil ink painting which exudes indescribable elegance. What an incredible natural ink painting! Zhang Xian can't help praising. Oh. Gongzi seems to have some aptitude towards painting. Hearing his praise, the butler turns around and asks. It is just a casual comment. He didn't expect that a casual comment that he spoke would attract the attention of the butler. Zhang Xian hurriedly shakes his head. In his previous life, he was a librarian, and his job is deeply related to literacy. Even though he had seen many different paintings back then, he had never picked up a brush, needless to say, paint. Our Leo used his heart as his brush and the courtyard as his paper to turn the entire residence into a painting. You aren't mistaken in your words. The butler nods his head and continues moving forward. Leo-old master soon, they arrive at the lounge. The lounge isn't very big but is rich in paintings, giving the room a kind of classical elegance. It has a soothing effect on those who step into it. It is unlike the other places, where strength-measuring rock pillars can be found everywhere, which makes one feel as though they would be thrown out if they display insufficient strength. I will be reporting to Leoi. After arranging the seats for the three of them, the butler turns around to leave. You know a thing or two about paintings? The moment the butler leaves, Huang Yu looks over curiously. She seems to have heard the conversation back there. Come to think about it, she doesn't know a single thing about the young man she brought here. I only felt that the arrangement in the courtyard is reminiscent of a painting. Zhang Xian replies. Xiao Yu, don't listen to his nonsense. This fellow is just putting on a show to attract your attention. Bai Sun's glare is so intense that fire may emerge from it. What do you know? My friend here is extremely knowledgeable and talented. Do you think that everyone likes to act mighty the way you do? Hearing the other party insult the friend she brought, Huang Yu is displeased. Knowledgeable? Him. Xiao Yu, you should be careful. I think this lad is just a useless playboy. Despite being young, he is skilled in the art of deceiving to win the favor of girls. He truly has no shame. Luo, hearing the lady praise Zhang Xian, Bai Sun feels the rage in him boiling even more intensely and he grits his teeth furiously. My friend here is skilled in zither, chess, literature, and painting. There is nothing he is incapable of, there is nothing he doesn't have expertise in. Not only is he outstanding in the younger generation, there aren't many of the older generation who can match up to him. On the contrary, look at yourself. You aren't skilled in anything, and your mind is only filled with fighting and killing all day long. You are the one that is useless. Huang Yu doesn't back down. Skilled in zither, chess, literature, and painting. You mean him? He doesn't look much older than me. Even if he started learning in the womb, how much can he learn? You are probably the only one who will get scammed by him. Bai Sun glares savagely at Zhang Xian. Just because he is young means that he isn't skilled. What if he is talented? Don't doubt others just because you are untalented. Huang Yu retorts. Hearing their argument, the innocent Zhang Xian who had arrows fired at him frowns. If you want to argue, just argue among yourselves. Why must you all rope me in? Did I offend any of you? Zither, chess, literature, and painting, you said. I have never touched any of the four in my entire life. If I am talented, how can I possibly be the first teacher in history to score a 0 in the teacher qualification examination in Hongtian Academy? Just as Bai Sun is about to counterattack with words of his own, footsteps sound from the outside and a figure walks in. It is an elderly man with snow-white hair and beard. He carries with him a unique aura which grants him a majestic disposition. The butler from before follows behind him. Emperor Shinjui's ex-tutor, Lu Chen. Paying respect to master. Upon seeing him, Bai Sun and Huang Yu dare not bicker any longer and bow simultaneously. I heard that someone was able to tell that the arrangement of my courtyard is an ink painting. It is rare to see such a refined youngster nowadays. Ignoring the two who are paying respect to him, the moment the elderly man walks in, his eyes is fixated upon Zhang Xian. It is apparent that the butler has informed him of Zhang Xian's previous words. Master, this fellow is just spouting nonsense, there's no need to bother about him. I have already revised beforehand, so master, you can feel free to test me. Upon seeing the master's attention fixated on the lad, Bai Sun feels displeased and hurriedly says. Did I allow you to talk? Master Lu Chen frowns. Bai Sun's face turns completely red, but he dares not talk back to him. He might be of high standing, and his father is formidable as well. However, before the emperor's tutor, he still pales far in comparison. After reprimanding Bai Sun, Master Lu Chen's attention returns back to Zhang Xian. Since you are learned in painting, it just happens that I have a work here for you to appraise in my stead. After which, he gestures with his hand. The butler hurries forward and unfurls a painting scroll on the table. It is a simple and elegant ink painting. The moment it is unfurled, a refreshing aura assaults its viewers. In a peaceful village, children are frolicking around and smoke emerges from the chimneys. If one concentrates, it seems as though one can hear the call of the cicada and see the dance of the tree leaves. It is a painting of a scenery. This Zhang Xian scratches his head. He doesn't know a single thing about painting. All he can tell about this painting is that it isn't bad. Asking him to appraise. What is he supposed to appraise about it? You must think carefully before you speak. This is a test by the master, he likes to test others. Anyway, when I first came, I was tested by him too. If you manage to speak well, you will be able to borrow as many books as you like. But if you were to screw this up, you will be sent back instantly. Just as he is hesitating, Huang Yu's agitated voice sounds beside him. Test? Zhang Xian smiles bitterly. If only he knew that Master Lu Chen has such interests, he wouldn't have said anything when he walked into the courtyard. Is this considered as courting trouble? However, based on Huang Yu's words, it is likely that the other party will test him even if he says nothing. After all, this is a habit he has cultivated. He probably can't shake it off even if he wanted to. As for appraising it, what the heck is he supposed to appraise? He isn't even learned in that aspect. What problems can he see from it? What kind of comments should he be making? After all, the other party is the emperor's tutor, a master of painting. If he were to spout nonsense, he might be chased away with a stick even before he is done speaking. Why? Is there any problem? Upon seeing his expression, Master Lu Chen inquires. Ah, nothing. Zhang Xian scratches his head. Just as he is at a loss on how he should organize his sentences to come up with words that the other party is unable to find flaws with, a thought suddenly flashes through his mind. Since the Library of Heaven's Path is capable of authenticating items, then is it possible for it to tell the flaws in paintings? At this point, he can't resist stepping forward to touch the painting lightly. Wang! A sound echo in his head and a book appears in his mind. Zhang Xian is overjoyed. After reading the contents of it, he raises his head and gazes at Master Lu Chen with bright eyes. Smiling faintly, he asks, Master really wants me to appraise this? Master Lu Chen doesn't respond, indicating his silent consent. I have 8 words of evaluation on it. Zhang Xian says. I am willing to listen to it. Master Lu Chen looks at Zhang Xian. Zhang Xian nods his head. His eyes scan through the painting once more and he shakes his head. The 8 words are downright senseless. What the heck is this toy? Gongzi, please mind your words. Initially, he was curious on the evaluation Zhang Xian could give. Upon hearing these words, the butler almost faints on the spot. Flustered, he tries to stop him hurriedly. This is a painting that was just drawn by the master. Chapter 49, How did he do it? A painting left behind by the master. By the side, Huang Yu feels like she is going insane. She almost loses her balance and falls to the floor. In the past, Master Lu Chen had brought out paintings for them to appraise, as well as to test them. However, he had never brought out his own works. This time, why would he if the fellow before her had praised the work the master took out? Perhaps, the master will be delighted with his evaluation and let it pass. However, what did you say? Downright senseless. What the heck is this toy? Is this something a human should say? To evaluate Master Lu Chen's drawing as downright senseless, what the heck is this toy? Huang Yu feels like vomiting blood. Didn't you say that you won't put me in a difficult position? What is going on? If she knew that Zhang Xian had decided afterward that as a teacher, he shouldn't put her in an awkward situation, more blood will probably come spurting out from her mouth. Is this what you call not putting me in an awkward situation? You are obviously pushing me down the cliff. She is regretting her action of bringing this fellow here. Master Lu Chen favors youngsters who learn with humility. He never discriminates against people, and he likes people coming over to learn from him. This fellow seems scholarly on the surface, as well as a person who knows his boundaries, so she thought that he is the type to learn with humility. Thus, she brought him over so she could please the master. If things go well, she could make use of the opportunity to achieve her goals as well. Yet, she never would have expected that he is so unreliable. Huang Yu feels her guts turn green with regret. If only she knew that this would happen, she would have rejected him on the spot. Why did she guide him over just to bring trouble on herself while she is on the verge of going berserk? Bai Sun is on the verge of laughing. Indeed, what is scary is not a godlike opponent, but a pig-like teammate. This fellow actually dares to describe Master Lu Chen's work as, what the heck is this toy? Needless to think, he must have offended the master thoroughly with his words. Even if he doesn't make a move, the master will probably teach this ignorant lad a lesson. Is this the knowledge and talent you speak of? Skilled in zither, chess, literature, and painting? Chuckling softly, he gazes at Huang Yu teasingly. Huang Yu had just praised Zhang Xian a moment ago, yet in the next, the latter spoke such words. Have you ever seen a knowledgeable and talented person act like this? Silence. In contrast to butler Uncle Cheng's anxiety, Huang Yu's regret and Bai Sun's glee, Master Lu Chen doesn't get mad due to the other party's words. He interrupts the commotion going on and looks at Lu Chen calmly. This little brother over here, why would you make such an evaluation? Is there a problem with my drawing? I didn't know that it was master's work. I seek your forgiveness for my brashness. Zhang Xian feigns shock and hurriedly bows apologetically. The book compiled by the Library of Heaven's Path allows him to look into the flaws of the painting, and the artist is also labeled in it. Naturally, he knows that the painting before him is Lu Chen's work, just that he is intentionally feigning ignorance. Don't worry about it. This is just a painting. I am only asking you to appraise the strengths and weaknesses of the painting, and not the painter of it. Master Lu Chen gestures. With your words, I am reassured. Zhang Xian smiles. Facing the painting again, he strokes it and says, if we are just talking about this painting, even if it is drawn by the master, I can only use these 8 words to evaluate it. Downright senseless. What the heck is this toy? Huang Yu and the butler look calm on the surface, but panic on the inside. To say such words after knowing that this is a work of the master. Lad, are you insane? However, Zhang Xian pauses for a moment. However what? This painting is indeed nothing much. Any artist by the street would be able to draw it. It is already an overestimation by calling it a toy. However, if one is able to see beyond its surface, then it is definitely an astonishing creation that will leave its viewers in disbelief. Zhang Xian says. Look beyond the surface. How should we look? Master Lu Chen smiles gently. Simple. Zhang Xian looks at the butler Uncle Cheng. May I trouble you to bring a dagger over? All right. After taking a look at Master Lu Chen and noticing the lack of disapproval, Uncle Cheng turns around and walks out. After a short moment, he returns with a dagger and passes it to Zhang Xian. Then, I will be making an embarrassment of myself. Grabbing the dagger, Zhang Xian walks over to the painting and stabs the dagger into it. What are you doing? Seeing his actions, Bai Sun steps forward. That is the master's work. Every single painting of his is incomparably valuable that some even label them as priceless treasures. Are you sure you can compensate him if you damage it? Huang Yu also looks at his actions in bewilderment. Why would you need a dagger to appraise a painting? Ignoring Bai Sun's rebuke, Zhang Xian cuts the unblemished painting with the dagger. Tzzzzzzzzzzz, the sound of paper being cut echoes in the air. The portion of the drawing that was cut curls upwards. Tugging lightly on it, the top portion of the drawing separates from the bottom layer. This is similar to how there are different levels to a building. A layer of xian paper forms the top layer of the painting, whereas the bottom layer consists of goatskin. Xian paper - the type of paper suitable for drawing. Voila! The tearing of the top xian paper exposes what is on top of the goatskin. There is also a painting on top of the goatskin, and it is similar to what was on the xian paper. However, there is more spirit to this one and the depictions are much more vivid. It is as though the mountainous rocks, trees, village and children would pop out from within at any moment. If I'm not wrong, the drawing on top of the xian paper is just a layer of deception. The true drawing is imprinted through the xian paper, onto the goatskin. This is the true secret behind the master's drawing. After tearing the xian paper carefully away, Zhang Xian smiles. This, regardless of whether it is Huang Yu, the butler, or Bai Sun, all of their eyes widen in disbelief. To imprint the ink beyond the xian paper onto the goatskin through force, not to mention that the drawing on top of the paper must retain a certain level of clarity such that no flaws can be seen on it, this is way too incredible. These two paintings are stacked on top of one another flawlessly. How was he able to tell? Not bad, not bad. Upon seeing the young man easily exposing the secret behind his painting, Master Lu Chen's eyes light up. This time, his gaze towards the youngster is full of praise. At the same time, he is also filled with shock. His ability to imprint on goatskin through a layer of paper via force is something he just comprehended. He had never showcased it in front of anyone else. Yet, this youngster is able to see through it in an instant. His eye of discernment is way too formidable. Then, what about this drawing? Master Lu Chen turns around and points to a painting hung on the wall. There is a giant savage beast painted on it. Similar to a savage tiger descending from the mountain, its ferocious aura leaves its viewers with astonishment. If a timid person were to catch sight of this painting, they might fall limply onto the ground, fearing to make a single noise. Zhang Xian steps forward and strokes it lightly. Then, he smiles. This painting isn't bad, but it is lacking in disposition. If I am not wrong, the painter of the work has never seen the savage beast portrayed in the drawing before. This drawing is just based on his personal interpretation. This Master Lu Chen's body trembles as his eyes widen into complete circles. Others might be confused by what Zhang Xian is saying, but he understands what the other party means. That is because this painting is his work as well. The savage beast on the painting is known as Qi Xiong, and it is a rare life form. It is said to possess boundless strength and invincible defense, to the point that no weapon is able to wound it. Just like what the other party said, it is true that he has never met such a life form. The reason why he was able to draw this painting is because he had flipped through numerous books so as to feed his imagination. This painting is one of his prided works. This is also the reason why it is hung on the middlemost location of the lounge. Innumerable painting masters have come to visit and they are filled with praises for it. They all find the painting majestic and lifelike. Why would the youngsters say that it is lacking in disposition? Since the other party is able to see through the overall situation behind the other painting in an instant, his eye for such stuff should be top-notch. Furthermore, he was able to tell that he had never seen a Qi Xiong just by glancing at the painting, so it is very probable that he has his own reasons for saying so. Which part of it is lacking in disposition, would you be kind to enlighten me? At this point, Master Lu Chen no longer has the attitude of superiority from before as he hurriedly asks. Ah. Seeing the emperor's tutor who kept testing them, causing them to scratch their heads helplessly innumerable times, seeking guidance with humility from a young man who isn't even 20 yet, Huang Yu and Bai Sun stare at one another and they feel like fainting. Especially Huang Yu, her eyes can't stop blinking. The shock strikes her mind like billowing waves. That fellow, how did he do it? Chapter 50, Pure, that's simple. Oblivious to the shock and the thoughts going through the minds of the others, Zhang Xian smiles. Even though the Qi Xiong is known for its invincible defense, its body is streamlined like a sharp sword. It specializes in quick assaults and overcomes its opponents through speed rather than strength. From this, it can be inferred that its disposition should be that of a sharp sword rather than a heavy mountain. Given how the painter got the disposition of the savage beast wrong, it is clear to see that it is an interpretation. Master Lu Chen's body sways. It isn't that the other party is inaccurate in his appraisal, but he is too accurate in it. All along, he had thought that since the Qi Xiong is known for its invincible defense, its disposition should be heavy like a mountain. The reminder from the youngster makes him recall an introduction on the savage beast from a book. It mentions that it is extremely fast, killing its opponent without even revealing itself. This is precisely the reason why very few people have seen its true form. One of the greatest taboos of a painter is to mistake the disposition their painting should carry. If even the disposition is unfitting for the subject, then even the most valuable of paintings will be reduced to trash. Zhang Xian is already sparing his pride by saying that the painting isn't bad, instead of saying something more extreme. Excellent. Incredible. With his face flushed red with excitement, Master Lu Chen expresses his high appraisal of Zhang Xian. If it is just a single painting, it is possible that it might just be luck or coincidence. However, to see the crux behind two different paintings in an instant, he can confidently say that the youngster before him might look young, but he is a true master painter. His skills can only be superior to his own. It is easy to make friends, but it is hard to find a soulmate. Throughout his career as a painter, he is unable to find an equal in the entire Tianxian kingdom. Usually, when he deciphers a painting to the others, they would only respond to it perfunctorily and instead, focus their efforts on praising him. No one was able to truly understand the essence of those paintings, needless to say, to point out the flaws in them. Friend kind of soulmate, this is precisely the reason why he feels desolate, and often opens up his residence to encourage diligent juniors in the hope that there will be someone to succeed him. At this moment, upon meeting someone who is able to point out the flaws and weaknesses of a painting, he feels as though he has met a soulmate. How can he not be delighted over it? If not for his strong will and self-control, he might have leaped in joy on the spot. Seeing the master so exuberant, Huang Yu and Bai Sun no longer bicker and stare at one another. Their eyes widen into complete circles, almost popping out from their heads. They have been acquainted with this master since young. He is always calm, and no matter what comes in his way, he never allows it to interfere with his mind. The last time the emperor sent some servants to deliver the harsh land's night illumination pearl to him, a gift that is worth a king's ransom, he didn't even take a look at it before ordering a servant to keep it in the warehouse. Yet, a casual answer from the young man leaves him in such a state. Could it be that his words are true? At this point, the two of them shot their gazes towards the young man. However, no matter how they stare at him, he looks nothing but ordinary to them. Xiao Yu, aren't you going to introduce this Gongzi to me? While she is still struck with bewilderment, Master Lu Chen's words echo in the room. Introduce? Upon being questioned, Huang Yu is taken back. Only now does she realize that she had not asked for the other party's name. Her face turns red and she scratches her head awkwardly as she turns towards Zhang Xian and asks, "Ah, right, what is your name?" Hearing these words, Bai Sun, who is sitting beside her, looks constipated. Just a moment ago, he was still overwhelmed by jealousy, thinking that someone has beaten him to his goddess, causing the urge to beat up this youngster to well up in him. Only now does he realize that Huang Yu doesn't even know his name. If only he knew earlier, he wouldn't have gotten so angry over nothing. However, his dilemma doesn't end here. Immediately after, he hears Master Lu Chen's angry voice. What do you mean by he? No decorum at all. This little brother here is a peer of mine, you will have to address him as a master in the future. Peer. This time, not only Huang Yu and Bai Sun feel dizzy-headed, even the butler Uncle Cheng freezes in shock. The three of them stare at Zhang Xian as though they are looking at a monster. What kind of standing does Master Lu Chen possess? Emperor Shinjui's teacher, a true emperor's tutor. There isn't a single person in the entire kingdom who dares to claim to be his peer. If one were to do it, it would mean that one is claiming to be the senior of the country's emperor. For a person of such standing to view a youngster who isn't even 20 as a fellow peer of his? Surely I am hearing things. Didn't you all hear my words? Seeing the two of them in a daze, Lu Chen chastises them again. Yes. Bai Sun and Huang Yu hurriedly bow, paying respect to the master. There is no need to be so formal. Zhang Xian didn't expect Lu Chen to be so polite. He nods his head helplessly and says, I am Zhang Xian. I just happen to understand master's paintings out of coincidence. I am not fitting of the title of a master. So it is little brother Zhang Xian. You can't put it like that, manners are manners. You are able to see through the flaws in my work with just a glance. This means that you are well versed in paintings, and you possess an exceptional eye for them. If you aren't worthy of the title of master with your standards, wouldn't that mean that I am unable to live up to my title as a master as well? Lu Chen says. Zhang Xian laughs dryly. It is true that he is able to point the flaws in the paintings, but that isn't because of his abilities in that aspect. He only made use of the cheat called the Library of Heaven's Path. Without this, needless to say appraising it, he might be scratching his head with a confused expression, unable to even identify what is being drawn. Alright, stop being so polite. Feel free to reprimand these juniors when you meet them in the future. Unsure about what Zhang Xian is thinking about, Lu Chen casually says. Juniors? Feel free to reprimand? Bai Sun and Huang Yu are on the verge of crying. The heck, we are around the same age and yet you became a senior of our grandfather's generation in an instant. Dude, you are way too formidable. Ignoring the despondent duo, Master Lu Chen looks over in puzzlement. Little brother, to follow Xiao Yu here, you probably aren't here for leisure. May I ask what is it that you require my help on? I have heard that Master has a wide collection of books. The reason why I am here today is to find some Fighter 6 Dan cultivation technique manuals to browse through. Hearing Master Lu Chen question his purpose, Zhang Xian hurriedly replies. The main aim of his journey here is this: he mustn't let this opportunity slip him by. My collection of books is quite vast, but they are mainly on painting. I do not possess many books on cultivation techniques here. As for those on Fighter 6 Dan, I only have a couple of them. They are in my study. Come, I will bring you over to take a look. Hearing his purpose, Master Lu Chen strokes his beard with a smile and stands up. Leoi, your study, the butler Uncle Cheng quickly walks forward and asks questioningly. Leoi Old Master Leoi's study does possess quite a lot of one-of-kind limited edition books, and each of them are extremely valuable. He has never allowed any outsiders to enter his study, and even Emperor Shinjue was blocked at the door when he came the previous time. There was a maid who wasn't aware of the rules and ran in to clean the room. In the end, she was beaten to death. This is precisely the reason why the study of the Lu residence is the forbidden zone within forbidden zones, and no one dares to enter it. Yet, Leoi intends to bring in a young man who he had just met, leaving him at a loss. The reason why I don't allow others to enter my study is for fear that they would afflict it with their vulgarity. Little brother Zhang Xian is a fellow peer of mine and a master painter. It is an honor of mine to have him enter to offer me some pointers. There is no reason for me to stop him from entering at all. Master Lu Chen's face darkens. Yes. Uncle Cheng retreats in a fluster. He may be ignorant about painting, but even he is able to tell at this point that there isn't a single error in the appraisal of the young man. Otherwise, it is impossible for Leoi's attitude to do an 180-degree turn and act so amiably. Let's go. Master Lu Chen leads the way while Zhang Xian follows behind him. After a moment, they reach a wide room. As expected of a master whom Huang Yu was full of praises for, the collection of books in his study is massive. All kinds of manuals fill the shelves, and there are at least hundreds of thousands of books here. Zhang Xian feels as though he has walked into a library. Walking between the shelves while taking a casual look, it is exactly as the other party said. The books are all on painting, and there are barely any on cultivation techniques and martial arts. Those on cultivation technique are over here. There are only a handful of them. They were left behind from back when I was still cultivating. Master Lu Chen introduces with a smile as he brings Zhang Xian towards the corner of the study. Chapter 51, Heaven's Path. Golden Body. By the corner, books are stacked densely on the bookshelves and they are all on cultivation techniques and related subjects. There are manuals on Fighter 1 Dan, 2 Dan, 3 Dan and 4 Dan. Similar to Hongtian Academy, the higher the tier is, the less the number of books there are on it. As for Fighter 6 Dan manuals, there are only about 10 books or so on it. The number of books may be few, but it beats having none at all. Initially, he thought that it would be like the Compendium Pavilion and that he would be able to find a few hundred or even 1,000 books here for his choosing. Now, it is clear to see that he is overthinking it. However, after pondering over it for a moment, the reason for the difference between the two becomes apparent to him. Everyone has a different physique, and thus the suitable cultivation technique for them differs from one individual to the other. Thus, it is clear that the academy would require a huge amount of secret manuals and books so as to ensure that there are sufficient resources for the teachers to cater to the needs of their students, as well as to expand their horizons. However, for an individual, they only require 1 or 2 cultivation techniques suited for them. It is already considered a huge collection for Lu Chen to have over 10 books on Fighter 6 Dan cultivation techniques. Casually picking up the 10 books, he flips through them lightly, walala, and corresponding secret manuals appear in his mind. Why? Are these cultivation techniques too inferior to appeal to you? Seeing the youngster pick those books up, flip through them and put them down before taking a good look at the contents, Master Lu Chen is slightly bewildered. That's not it, I am just taking a casual look. Zhang Xian shakes his head. Scanning the surrounding once again, he affirms that there are only these few books in here. Just as he is about to take his leave from the study, he suddenly catches sight of a pile of manuals placed not too far away from his current position. Curious, he asks, these are left behind by that disappointing son of mine. He likes brute strength, so he collected quite a few secret manuals on enhancing one's physical strength. In fact, he even went to the kingdom's book collection vault and moved all related books here. Master Lu Chen smiles bitterly. In the cultivation of a fighter, Jinqi is the most important factor of all. One's physical body only plays a small role in it, and it is not worth mentioning at all. Jinqi - a true essence. Although there is the Pigu realm which tempers one's skin and bones in a fighter's cultivation, what truly matters is still Jinqi. Only when one's Jinqi is pure and concentrated can they be truly strong. In the eyes of most cultivators, the physical body is just an auxiliary tool to one's strength, and is of little importance. Can I take a look? Seeing the thousands of secret manuals on heightening the strength of one's physical body, Zhang Xian feels a little moved. Thus, he can't resist the urge to ask Master Lu Chen for permission to browse through them. He possesses the Library of Heaven's Path, so he doesn't need the cultivation techniques in his possession to be profound. With sufficient quantity, he is able to extract the essence of each to authenticate the true and the false and distill the truly useful portions from each of them. Even though training one's physical body may seem to be unimportant, and it may be unable to allow one's strength to soar up rapidly, if there are this many books to correct the errors and point out the correct path, the effects might turn out to be significant. Anyway, he doesn't have sufficient books in his hands on 6-dan cultivation technique for him to raise his cultivation realm, so he might as well flip through these first. Perhaps, he might even get some pointers on it from the information contained within them. Little brother, feel free. Master Lu Chen smiles. Since he had already brought him in, he wouldn't be stingy about it, allowing him to browse through the books. I will be impertinent then. Zhang Xian nods his head and walks over to the pile of manuals. Just like before, he casually flips through them. Walala. Walala. He is looking at his actions by the side. Master Lu Chen is bewildered. I thought that he wanted to read the books. What is he doing, flipping through them like that? Could it be that these books do not fit his taste? That makes sense though. Given how he is trying to look for Fighter 6-dan cultivation techniques, he is probably already at Fighter 5-dan pinnacle. Given his current strength, he has already undergone the Pigu realm, and it matters not whether he trains his physical body or not. Perhaps, he might be browsing through them out of curiosity. Coming to a realization, he no longer bothers about it. Casually picking up a treasured painting left behind by a master, he examines it attentively. Zhang Xian finishes flipping through that pile of physical body enhancement techniques within 10 minutes or so. The correct cultivation method. Thousands of manuals appear in the library. Zhang Xian's mind jolts and light envelopes his sight. Then, a flawless manual appears in his mind. Similar to the cultivation technique manuals from before, the book contains the perfect sequence of the correct methods recorded in the thousands of books. Let me take a look. Flipping over the cover, a line of words assaults him and enters his mind. Jinqi is reminiscent of water, whereas the physical body is the bucket containing the water. With a sturdy bucket, one can fill more water, and the quality of which would be higher. The opening verse causes him to feel enlightened. That's right. Zhang Xian's eyes light up. Previously, his thoughts were like the others. He felt that it is of no importance whether he cultivates his physical body or not, what truly matters is his Jinqi cultivation. Only upon reading this does he realize how shallow his thinking was. If one loses their skin, where can their hairs lodge into? The same goes for the relationship between Jinqi and one's physical body. Only a powerful physical body is capable of withstanding violent Jinqi strength to exert even greater prowess. Feeling as though a door has just opened before him, Zhang Xian can't resist the urge to read on. The more he reads, the more exhilarated he feels. The Jinqi within his body subconsciously follows the method recorded in the book and flows continuously. Jai. Under the flow of Jinqi, his physical body, which wasn't weak from the start, evolves once again. His muscle fibers thicken and his skin membrane becomes more sturdy. His body evolves towards a much more correct and rational path. Kacha. As his mind is absorbed in the explanations contained within the book, Zhang Xian isn't aware of the astounding changes that are occurring within his physical body. It is as though an infrastructure has been washed with molten metal. His body is gradually becoming a powerful weapon that surpasses that of ordinary humans. As expected of a technique filtered by the library, it is indeed formidable. From now on, I will call this Heaven's Path Golden Body. An hour later, Zhang Xian finally finishes his book. His Jinqi has also circulated a single time through his body according to the methods recorded in the book. Wang. After he finishes naming the book glows radiantly and 4 large words appear on the cover of the book, Heaven's Path Golden Body. In the future, I will have to make sure to train in it properly on. I am already done training. After finishing the book, just when he has decided to cultivate using the methods recorded on it after returning, he realizes that he had unknowingly completed the cultivation of this body enhancement technique while looking through it. That is to say, he has mastered this body enhancement cultivation technique. There are no errors in the cultivation techniques of Heaven's Path, thus the pace of training is swift. Even though I knew this beforehand, never would have I expected that I would be able to master Heaven's Path Golden Body unknowingly like this. With the experience from Heaven's Path Divine Art, he knows that a flawless cultivation technique is much more effective and allows one to cultivate at an extremely rapid speed, thus he had expected the cultivation of the Heaven's Path Golden Body to not be too difficult as well. Just that, he never imagined that he would complete the cultivation just by reading through the contents of it once. At this moment, he doesn't know whether he should laugh or cry. Forget it, even though I wasn't able to find sufficient Fighter 6 Dan cultivation techniques, my strength should have increased significantly with this set of physical body enhancement cultivation technique. Coming to Master Lu Chen's house, he might not have accomplished his objective of finding sufficient Fighter 6 Dan cultivation techniques, but in exchange, he received the Heaven's Path Golden Body, so it is still a meaningful trip. Just that, the physical body is different from Jinqi. Jinqi can be easily quantified and it isn't difficult to gauge how much strength one possesses after one is done with one's training. On the other hand, muscles are hidden beneath the skin, so it is hard to measure one's improvement clearly. That's to say, even though he has mastered Heaven's Path Golden Body, he has no idea how strong he has grown, or even whether his physical body had grown stronger or not. Of course, this isn't important. Since he has successfully completed his cultivation of it, he can simply find a strength measuring rock pillar when he returns to test his strength. What is little brother Zhang Xian doing? At this moment, Master Lu Chen, who accompanied him here, has his mind filled with question marks. While reading his book, he sneaked glances towards the other party occasionally. After flipping through the manuals, this fellow has been standing on the spot without moving at all for 2 whole hours by now. What the heck is he doing? Could it be that he has read too many books and went berserk? It isn't like this kind of situation has never happened before. In the past, there was an extremely talented genius in Tianxian Kingdom. The cultivation techniques and battle techniques that took other people 2 to 3 years to learn, he only took 2 to 3 days. This is precisely the reason why he wanted to learn all of the cultivation techniques and battle techniques to piece them together so as to create a set of new skills in the end. Before a new mystical cultivation technique could be born, he went berserk. The youngster before him was able to raise his level of cultivation to Fighter 5 Dan Pinnacle at such a young age. At the same time, he possesses a master-level competency in painting. Could it be that just like that senior, he got greedy and some problems popped up within him? Little brother, filled with suspicions, he can't hold it in any longer. Thus, he steps forward and tries to interrupt Zhang Xian's thoughts to prevent him from sinking in even deeper. Just as Zhang Xian is impressed over the might of the heaven's path divine art, he hears a shout, and following which, a palm nudges his body. Oh! Master Lu Chen, returning back to his consciousness, he hurriedly turns around and his shoulders accidentally bump into the ladder. Pang! A deep echo and Master Lu Chen is sent flying instantaneously. His back knocks onto a bookshelf, and the books scatter on the floor. Chapter 52, Master Lu Chen on the verge of tears, ah! Zhang Xian is taken aback. He didn't turn around that quickly, neither did he use that much strength. Why did Master Lu Chen fly backward? Could he be jumping around for fun? Master, he rushes forward to help the other party up. He places his palm on the back of Master Lu Chen's body to support him up. I'm fine, so. Before his words can escape his mouth, Master Lu Chen feels his entire body go weightless as he somersaults forward. His head knocks into another bookshelf, causing his face to be showered with books. The master is on the verge of tears. Are you playing with me? Must you use so much strength to help me up? Master, seeing his current state, Zhang Xian rushes forward to continue helping him up. Upon seeing the sight, Master Lu Chen hurriedly struggles upwards and says, "You don't come over. I can do it myself." Zhang Xian can only stop on the spot. He blinks his eyes as he looks at the elderly before him doubtfully. He can't help but ask the question that has been plaguing his mind, "Master, are you jumping around for fun?" Jumping around for fun, Master Lu Chen almost cries on the spot. The heck, you are the one who is jumping around for fun. Your whole family is jumping around for fun. I am a master painter, an elegant person. How bored must I be to be jumping around for fun? Besides, even if I wanted to play, I won't be doing it here. My collection of books, my treasures, are here. Master Lu Chen feels a stifling sensation in his chest which causes him to be short of breath. Why? Are you feeling uncomfortable in your chest? Zhang Xian walks forward to aid him, and he pounds his back to relieve his discomfort. No, Peng. Before Master Lu Chen can finish his words, Zhang Xian's fist lands on his back, causing his eyes to narrow. So. He flies forward and crashes into the wall of the study, creating a huge crevice in it. Master, seeing him charge ahead, Zhang Xian scratches his head in bewilderment. What is this master trying to do? Jumping backward a moment ago and jumping forward now, is he afflicted with epilepsy? If his epilepsy is acting up, it won't do for Zhang Xian to ignore his current situation. He immediately rushes forward towards Lu Chen to try to help him up again. Don't come over here. Master Lu Chen wipes the fresh blood off the corner of his lips and hurriedly retreats. He stares at the youngster before him as though staring at a monster, and he looks as though he could cry at any moment. I only felt a coldness in my heart. I am not trying to seek death. Your pound Io, my old arms, my old legs, master, what is going on? Seeing him in such a state, Zhang Xian asks. You acted so maturely a moment ago, so why would you pounce and leap around suddenly? What are you trying to do? What is going on? Master Lu Chen stares at him fearfully as tears threaten to fall from his eyes. You don't know what is going on. Fearing that you might have gone berserk, I came forward to remind you out of goodwill. Yet, with a single turn, you sent me flying. Then, you ran over to push me forward. The final blow was the most vicious of them all, a straight pound at my back. If it weren't for the slight cultivation that I possess, I might have lost my life already. Yet, you dare to ask me what is going on? Right when he is about to lash out, he sees the puzzled look on the youngster and he doesn't seem like he is lying. A thought flashes through his mind and he recalls something. With his eyes filled with disbelief, he asks, Could you have just achieved a breakthrough? Indeed. Zhang Xian nods his head. Mastering the heaven's path golden body should be considered as a type of breakthrough. But even if it's a breakthrough, it is impossible for one to improve so swiftly. Master Lu Chen finally understands what is happening, but he still dares not believe it. There are a few people who use special means to allow their cultivation to leap in an instant. After the gigantic soar in strength, their bodies are unable to adapt to the difference in strength in the short run, causing them to be unable to control their might. What seems like their normal exertion of strength would become an attack of full strength in the eyes of others. When one who possesses 100 kilograms of strength exerts a tenth of their strength, it would be only 10 kilograms. With such strength, they are able to freely lift cups and such without much hindrance. However, if one tries to use the same ratio of strength to lift a cup after his strength has suddenly surged to 10,000 kilograms, the overwhelming strength of 1,000 kilograms would exceed the durability of the cup and cause it to shatter instantly. It is very possible that this is the case with Zhang Xian. As the person in question isn't even aware of how much his strength has grown, thus it is natural that Lu Chen would be unable to take it when he is using his previous strength ratio to operate. He has read of this condition in books before, and it will take a period of time before the person in question is able to adapt to the difference in strength. Initially, he thought that it was only a legend. Never would he have thought that such a thing really exists. Just that, he finds it unbelievable that the strength of this fellow would surge by simply after flipping through some books and daydreaming away afterward. Could this be a sudden leap due to his deep accumulation? He might have happened to read something which caused his enlightenment, allowing him to break through in an instant. If that was the case, then his luck is really way too bad. Follow me to the lounge. While holding doubts in his mind, Master Lu Chen doesn't say anything more and instead, leads the way back to the lounge. It is easy to tell whether the situation is as he suspects. He only needs to find a strength measuring rock pillar for Zhang Xian to test his strength on. Since the youngster is seeking for Fighter 6 Dan cultivation techniques, then he surely has yet to break through Pishue realm. Since he had not reached Fighter 6 Dan, then as a Fighter 5 Dan pinnacle, he could only possess a maximum of 4 ding of strength. If his strength were to exceed this amount, this would mean that he has improved significantly. If so, the situation back then can be explained. In the lounge, Huang Yu and Bai Sun have yet to leave. They are still sitting in the living room as they stare in the direction of the study anxiously. They came here with a request, but Master Lu Chen took Zhang Xian away with him right after he finished testing him, not even giving them an opportunity to speak. At the same time, it isn't appropriate for them to leave abruptly, so they could only continue waiting patiently. Xiao Yu, just now that Master Zhang Xian, has he really reached Fighter 5 Dan pinnacle? Bai Sun no longer views Zhang Xian hostilely as he did previously. On the contrary, his voice held a tinge of excitement. Actually, he isn't interested in painting at all. If it wasn't for his father coercing him, he definitely would not have come here. What truly interests him is cultivating. He only feels excitement upon meeting powerful people. All along, he had thought of himself as a genius. Despite being just 18 this year, he has already reached Fighter 5 Dan pinnacle. There aren't many in the capital who can compete with him in terms of cultivation speed. Yet, he didn't expect that a seemingly average young man who isn't much older than him would have reached such a realm as well. How can he not feel excited over this? I'm not sure as well. I've already told you that he only came to my store to buy books. I don't know much about him as well. However, since he is looking for Fighter 6 Dan cultivation techniques, he should have already reached Fighter 5 Dan pinnacle. Huang Yu says. As Zhang Xian has yet to make a move, they aren't very sure about Zhang Xian's exact prowess. However, since he is looking for 6 Dan manuals, it is very probable that he has already reached 5 Dan pinnacle. Otherwise, there is no point to him looking for such a high-tier manual. To be able to reach such a level at a young age, I wonder how powerful he is. Let me try it out myself later, Bai Sun titters. He is a battle maniac, and his heart can no longer suppress the urge to duel with someone of the same age who has attained the same level as him. Just as the two of them are speaking, someone walks over. Turning around to take a look, the both of them are taken aback. Master Lu Chen, who was still incomparably elegant a moment ago, is currently extremely gloomy and red blood fills his entire face as he walks over disheveled. Chapter 53, By Sun's Breakdown. The crowd stare at one another, dumbfounded. This is Master Lu Chen, the Emperor's tutor. Who is the one who dared lay his hands on him, beating him into such a state? Besides, didn't you two go to the study? Why did he return like this? Could it be that they didn't go to the study to read books, but to fight? The elegant Master Lu Chen has such interest. I'm fine. Master Lu Chen waves his hands awkwardly. After all, he can't possibly say that Zhang Xian has just achieved a breakthrough and unintentionally injured him due to lacking control of his strength. He also knows that it will be difficult to explain. Thus, Master Lu Chen walks over to the main seat, then turns to look at Uncle Cheng and says, "Ah Cheng, go and fetch a strength measuring rock pillar over." He is a master painter, not a fighter. Thus, no strength measuring rock pillars are placed in his lounge. However, as this item is related to one's cultivation, there are still a few of them in his house, so it will be fine bringing one over. Yes. Despite being unsure of what his master is up to, Uncle Cheng nods his head and retreats out of the room. Master Zhang, have you really reached Fighter 5 Dan Pinnacle? Upon seeing the room turn silent, Bai Sun can't resist walking up towards him with an excited expression. It might be inconvenient to speak of it in the academy, but it isn't any secret here, so there's no need for Zhang Xian to conceal the fact. I'm also on the same level. May I exchange some blows with you? Hearing the young man's confirmation, Bai Sun's eyes burn with enthusiasm. Bai Sun, what are you doing? Look at where you are. Taken aback, Huang Yu quickly tries to advise him otherwise. Master Lu Chen is an elegant person, and he hates people arguing and fighting before him. Don't you think that it's a joke to be issuing a challenge in his lounge? It is just as Huang Yu said, Lu Chen doesn't like others to be brandishing their spears and swords before him. However, while the strength measuring rock pillar isn't here yet, the best way to test whether Zhang Xian has improved is through Bai Sun. He is aware of the fact that the latter has reached Fighter 5 Dan Pinnacle. With the same level of cultivation, he should be able to see whether Zhang Xian's strength has surged. At this point, he raises his head and says, I don't have any objections if it is just ordinary sparring. However, don't go too far. Great. Initially, Bai Sun thought that Master Lu Chen would object to it. However, contrary to his expectation, he approves. Bai Sun almost leaps up due to overwhelming excitement. With a delighted expression, he takes 2 steps towards the center of the lounge and with a cool pose, he beckons Zhang Xian. Come. All right. Zhang Xian has just completed his cultivation of Heaven's Path Golden Body and he is curious to know how far his strength has progressed as well. Thus, he doesn't reject the other party's challenge and walks over to the center of the lounge as well. The strength behind my fists are great, so be careful. With hardened eyes, Bai Sun no longer has that gentlemanly look he usually has and replacing it is the aura of a powerful person unmatched by anyone. As Fighter 5 Dan Pinnacle, in terms of strength, he is above even Shang Bin. Voila! After gathering his might, Bai Sun steps forward. With his strength as a sword, the shock wave of his punch as a blade, he sends a jab straight towards Zhang Xian. To test his level of cultivation, Zhang Xian doesn't bother to look at the flaws on Bai Sun compiled in the Library of Heaven's Path and instead, he faces his fist with one of his own. Who? The 2 fists connect midair and Zhang Xian frowns. Why is the strength behind his fist so lacking? Could it be that he isn't Fighter 5 Dan Pinnacle? Zhang Xian's fist goes straight through the other party's fist without slowing at all, completely overpowering him, as though a stone has met with a bubble. Thinking that the other party isn't well prepared and has yet to exert his full strength yet, Zhang Xian quickly reduces his strength by half. Even so, Bai Sun's face pales and he is sent flying like a rubber ball. So. He only comes to a stop when his bat crashes onto a pillar forcefully. Why aren't you using your full strength? Retracting his fist, Zhang Xian walks forward and stretches out his hand to help the ladder up. Don't. Upon seeing this sight, Master Lu Chen's eyes narrow. He immediately tries to stop them, but he is too late. So, Bai Sun, who was pulled by the young man, flies away like a kite who had its string snapped. With a whistle of the wind, he flies in the air once again. Paji. After flying for a dozen meters, his face crashes into the wall and fresh blood spurts out from his mouth and nose. Woo! Bai Sun almost cries on the spot. Big brother, I know that I'm not a match for you, but you don't have to be so merciless. My dashing features, my face, why are you? Seeing Bai Sun fly away with a pull of his, Zhang Xian scratches his head with an innocent look. What are they doing? First Master Lu Chen, and now Bai Sun. Is it really all right for the both of you to be leaping around? If the two of them were to know the thoughts that are running through his mind, they would have surely vomited blood on the spot out of depression. You are the one who is leaping around. We were thrown by you. All right, this fellow, standing by the side, Huang Yu's eyebrows twitch and she finds her head unable to cope. Bai Sun can be considered one of the outstanding ones among the younger generation. Except for a few others, he is practically unmatched. This is precisely the reason why he cultivated a competitive, but reluctant to admit defeat personality. He thought that the latter would not be able to match up to him in a duel, but never did he imagine that he would be sent flying with a single punch. He lost thoroughly. This fellow looks ordinary, how can he possess such overwhelming might? Are you all right? Unsure of what the others are thinking about, Zhang Xian walks up to Bai Sun with an apologetic look. I'm fine. Bai Sun struggles upwards and pats the dust off his clothes. As Fighter 5 Dan, who has tempered his bones and skin, small wounds like these do not pose a problem. Great. I realized that you have not used your full strength previously. How about this, let's spar once more with you using your full strength. Zhang Xian says with a serious expression. Again. Bai Sun's face twitches and he almost cries. If we were to continue fighting, I might die here. He immediately waves his hand and says, no need, Master is indeed stronger than me. I don't think there's a need to continue sparring, there's no need to be courteous, it is just friendly sparring, so you don't have to be so restrained. Also, don't call me master, that sounds so distant. Zhang Xian thought that the other party was acting cautiously due to his identity as Master Lu Chen's peer, causing his reluctance to give his all in the spar, thus resulting in his weakness as perceived by Zhang Xian. When his cultivation had just reached Fighter 5 Dan pinnacle, he crossed blows with Yao Han, and the latter gave him a lot of pressure through his formidable strength. Yao Han's cultivation realm is higher than Bai Sun, but as there isn't too much of a difference between the two, he thought that it would be the same as when he faced him. Yet, Bai Sun was sent flying with a single fist. Finding it unbelievable, he attributed it to him not exerting his full strength. Otherwise, with his 8 ding of strength, it is impossible for him to send a Fighter 5 Dan pinnacle who possesses 4 ding of strength flying with a single fist. Spar. Bai Sun trembles in fear. You call this sparring? With just that single fist of yours, I almost ascended to the heavens, you know that. Besides, as a fellow peer of Grandpa Lu Chen, what do I call you if not master? A thought flashes through his mind and his face twitches, seemingly on the verge of tears. Since you said that it feels distant calling you master, then why don't I call you Grandpa? Grandpa Zhang, I admit my mistake, okay? I shouldn't have been so hostile towards you, so I beg of you stop asking me to spar with you. The strength measuring rock pillar is here. At this moment, Uncle Chen walks over and sees such a sight unfolding before him. Upon hearing Bai Sun's shouting plea, he petrifies on the spot. What? Chapter 54, Hongjin Pro Fruit. Who is this? The sole son of the #1 authoritative subject of Tianxian Kingdom, Jinan Wang. For him to be crying Zhang Xian as his grandpa. Surely I am hearing things. Uncle Chen only feels his vision blurring before him and almost loses consciousness. I just stepped away for a moment to grab a strength-measuring rock pillar. What happened? Can anyone enlighten me? Cough cough, all right. Little brother Zhang Xian, there are plenty of opportunities for the both of you to spar in the future. Bai Sun is injured and needs to regulate his cultivation for a while. Anyway, since the strength-measuring rock pillar is already here, I think it would be best for you to try out your strength first. Sensing the awkwardness of the situation, Master Lu Chen quickly steps in. All right. Seeing that Bai Sun is unwilling to spar, Zhang Xian shakes his head in disappointment. He looks at the strength-measuring rock pillar which is just inserted into a crevice on the ground and walks over to it. With a slight smile, he says, actually, I have tested my strength yesterday and it was about 4 ding or so. There probably won't much of a difference testing it today, it was just this morning that he had beaten Yao Han into a pig head. Before that, he had tested his strength and had ascertained it to be 8 ding. He had been busy the entire day. Furthermore, without a cultivation technique for him to cultivate, not a single one of his acupoints have been broken through yet. Thus, there shouldn't be a rise in his strength. Although he has cultivated the Heaven's Path golden body, in Zhang Xian's opinion, even if there was an improvement with his physical body, it can't possibly rival up to the significance of Jinqi in determining one's might. As for why he said that his strength is 4 ding, it is because this is the standard strength a Dingli realm pinnacle would possess. He doesn't want to reveal too much of his secrets. At worst, he just has to hold back half of his strength when testing it later on. Since the pillar has been brought here, give it a try. Master Lu Chen says. All right. Zhang Xian smiles as he accepts the offer. With the intention to only use half of his strength, his fist flies towards the rock pillar before him. His fist propels forward as though a lightning strike and the shock wave of his fist causes the wind to rustle. Pang! Light shines from the pillar and figures start to slowly appear on it. Look, as I said, 4 ding. Seeing the figures that had floated onto the surface of the pillar, Zhang Xian waves his hands and turns around to look at the others with a smile. However, before he could finish his words, he sees Bai Sun, Huang Yu, Master Lu Chen and Uncle Chen look at him as though he is a monster. Every single one of their eyes are almost popping out of their sockets. What's the matter? Zhang Xian frowns. He lowers his head to look at himself. There shouldn't be anything off about him though. Look at the strength-measuring rock pillar again. Huang Yu says in agitation. What is wrong with the strength-measuring rock pillar? Isn't it just 4 ding? Do you all have to be so shocked? Turning around to take a look, Zhang Xian's body staggers and he almost falls to the floor. Unsure of when it happened, but the number 9 had appeared behind the number 4 that he saw previously. Putting it together. 49. The fist that I just threw had the strength of 49 ding. Zhang Xian is also astonished. When he tested it this morning, he only had 8 ding of strength. Furthermore, he intentionally restrained half of his strength when striking on the rock pillar, so how could he had possibly reached a might of 49 ding? Doesn't this mean that if he didn't contain his strength, his fist could hold a might of almost 100 ding behind it? A fighter 5 Dan Dingli realm pinnacle possesses 4 ding of strength while the strength of a Pishue realm pinnacle expert wouldn't exceed 80 ding. To be capable of hitting 100 ding with his fist, doesn't this mean that his strength is equal to a fighter 6 Dan Pishue realm expert, surpassing the latter even? This. Could it be that the strength-measuring rock pillar is malfunctioning? A thought flashes through his mind and Zhang Xian can't resist raising his doubt. The rock pillar isn't malfunctioning. Didn't you achieve a breakthrough in the study previously? It caused your strength to soar. Furthermore, you have yet to adapt to your newfound strength, that's why you thrashed Bai Sun so overwhelmingly. Seeing his thoughts being verified, Master Lu Chen explains. Initially, he wanted to say that he himself was beaten into a pulp by Zhang Xian, but he stopped at the crucial point. After all, no matter what, he is still a master and has to consider his reputation. A breakthrough? An inflation from 4 ding to 49 ding? It can't be that you broke through 45 acupoints at once? It is one thing to not hear his explanation, but the moment they hear it, Bai Sun and Huang Yu almost faint on the spot. Surely you are jesting. At Fighter 6 Dan Pishue realm, one opens up his acupoints to raise one's cultivation. For every acupoint opened, one will gain 1 ding of strength. It is said that there are a total of 108 acupoints in the human body. However, only 72 of which can be opened. Furthermore, there is a specific order to opening these acupoints. Due to the difference in physique for every individual, they require a different sequence in breaking through them to achieve the optimal effect. If one fails to find the ideal sequence, they could possibly only end up opening 30 to 40 acupoints in their life and find themselves unable to advance forward. Normally, one breaks through them one by one, and one's strength will increase slowly 1 ding at a time. For Zhang Xian's strength to increase by 45 ding in an instant. Dude, you are about to bash through the heavens. It is not that I have never seen people breaking through, but I have never seen someone break through in such a way. Actually, it isn't just the others who are giddy and in a state of disbelief, even Zhang Xian himself doesn't know what is going on. Was such a massive improvement induced just from cultivating Heaven's Path Golden Body, allowing his strength to increase by 90 ding instantaneously? Normally, when he casually sent Master Lu Chen flying and defeated Bai Sun, he should have understood how much of an improvement he had made and how much his strength had grown by, and not be as ignorant as he is now. However, as a transcender and someone who has just started cultivating 2 days ago, it is already incredible that he is able to control his cultivation to exert the correct amount of strength. Going into the specifics to control his strength, so as to manipulate it as he pleases, is simply expecting too much of him. This is just like an ordinary person who is suddenly granted superhuman strength. He wouldn't be able to get used to it initially, and, perhaps, might even feel slightly lost about the matter. This is exactly the situation that is occurring with Zhang Xian. Initially, he only possessed 8 ding of strength. However, it suddenly increased by 90 ding, an increment of more than 10-fold. Furthermore, as this increment originates from his physical body, it is undetectable. Rather, it would be weird if he knew it in advance. It is already a blessing for him to not have reduced Bai Sun into a lump of meat. Little brother Zhang, you can't possibly have opened 45 acupoints just now. Seeing him in a daze, Master Lu Chen asks slowly. It is unheard of to open 45 acupoints in an instant. But if that isn't the case, where could have the sudden boost of strength possibly came from? I am still Dingli Realm Pinnacle. My cultivation has yet to advance, just that, my physical body grew stronger by a bit. Zhang Xian says. Physical body. Master Lu Chen is astounded, not daring to believe what he has just heard. I have heard that there are some treasures in the world that allow one's physical body to rival steel when consumed, giving one the strength equivalent to a Pishue realm pinnacle. Could it be that it is possible to reach such a level through cultivating one's physical body as well? Kang. I seem to have eaten some unidentifiable fruit today. Initially, I felt my body heat up after eating it, but I didn't pay much heed to it. Perhaps, that could be the reason for the sudden increase in the strength of my physical body. Zhang Xian says. As a member of modern civilization, he understands the logic that possessing a treasure beyond one's ability will attract calamity. If he were to acknowledge that he has reached such a level through cultivation, innumerable people might go red-eyed and try to extort him of his cultivation technique. Perhaps, some might even kidnap him to research on. Since Master Lu Chen had mentioned that there are some treasures that can induce a massive enhancement in one's physical body, he decided to go along with it. Fate, this is truly fate. Master Lu Chen doesn't doubt Zhang Xian's words at all. Actually, it isn't that he isn't doubtful, but even if he is, he has no choice but to believe Zhang Xian's words. For one's physical strength to increase by a few dozen ding through 2 hours of cultivation? Isn't this daydreaming? It is as laughable as trying to get a male to bear children. Rather than believing that nonsense, it is more probable that he might have consumed some treasure. May I know the appearance of the fruit that little brother ate? Master Lu Chen continues asking. Appearance? Zhang Xian scratches his head. He was spouting nonsense, so how could he have possibly known how it would look like? However, since they have already gotten to this point, keeping silent would seem much more suspicious instead. Thus, he replies, it is a red-colored fruit. Previously, when he was flipping through the books in the Academy's Compendium Pavilion, he recalls seeing a record of a fruit similar to what Lu Chen has just described. The book is an epic of a person's travels, and a character in it had eaten a red-colored fruit and had his strength raised massively. At this moment, he could only blindly try his luck. Red-colored? Could it be crimson-colored? Indeed, it is that thing. Master Lu Chen seems to have thought of something and his breathing hastens. Master knows of it. It is the Hongjin pearl fruit. Legend has it that consuming it will allow one's physical body to soar rapidly, granting one the strength that even a Pishue realm pinnacle expert is unable to withstand. Master Lu Chen says excitedly. Hongjin pearl fruit. Zhang Xian says with a bizarre look on his face. Could it be that such a thing really exists? Chatting for a moment longer, Zhang Xian was questioned on where he obtained the Hongjin pearl fruit from. He casually replied that he got it from the market, causing Master Lu Chen and the rest to exclaim at his fortune. Right, brother Zhang Xian, are you a local or? Lu Chen asked. I am a teacher at Hongtian Academy. Zhang Xian replied. No wonder you possess such strength and a deep understanding towards painting. Master Lu Chen praised him. He turned around to Huang Yu and Bai Sun, who were sitting by the side, and said, painting can mold a person's personality and train their character. Don't let fighting and killing occupy your mind all day long. Since brother Zhang Xian is a teacher of the academy, go and visit him to learn from him whenever the both of you are free. I will consider giving the person who learns a thing or two from him a pass and give them what they want. Yes. Huang Yu replied with a bitter expression, whereas Bai Sun's eyes were glittering with excitement. Through their crossing of blows, he understood that Zhang Xian's current ability far surpassed him. To be able to learn from such an expert was definitely much more interesting than simply just learning boring painting. At the very least, he felt more relaxed learning from him than Master Lu Chen. My apologies for the sudden intrusion today. It is getting a little late, so Master, I will be bidding you farewell. I will visit you another day. After accomplishing what he came for, Zhang Xian decided to take his leave and clasped his hands together towards Lu Chen. This time, you came here to look for Fighter 6 Dan cultivation techniques, but it is a pity that I don't have many of them here. I will speak to Shinjue about this matter a few days later to bring you to the kingdom's book collection vault to browse through them. It just happens that he seems to be out hunting these few days, so he isn't in the capital at the moment. Master Lu Chen said. You have my utmost gratitude, Master. Hearing these words, Zhang Xian's eyes lit up. It was impossible to find more than a few Fighter 6 Dan cultivation technique manuals at any ordinary location. However, in the kingdom's book collection vault, the location that was reputed to have the most complete collection of books in Tianxian Kingdom, he was surely able to find many of them. If he was able to enter the vault to browse through the Fighter 6 Dan cultivation techniques, he might be able to form Heaven's Path divine art and break through successfully. You're too courteous, Lu Chen nodded his head with a smile. Leaving the master's residence, Zhang Xian headed towards the academy. The sun had already set when he was still having dinner with Shen Bairu. At this moment, the moon hung high up in the sky, illuminating the ground with a cold silver glow. Going by the clock of his previous life, it should be around 12 already. Despite the time, he didn't feel fatigued in the least. Instead, his eyes were glowing in exhilaration. The trip to the master's residence was truly worth it. Compiling the Heaven's Path golden body has propelled the strengthening of his physical body, causing his prowess to soar. With his current cultivation, even if he were to meet with a Pishue realm pinnacle expert, he would be able to easily subdue them. Besides, he also found a dozen books or so on Fighter 6 Dan cultivation techniques. Even if it was insufficient for him to compile a complete version of Heaven's Path divine art, it should still be beneficial to his training. My physical body has already reached 90 ding of strength. If I were to find higher-tier physical body enhancement techniques, will I grow even stronger? There might be many different secret manuals on training one's physical body in Master Lu Chen's study, but they were the simplest and most basic cultivation methods. If such books could possess such effects after being compiled by the Library of Heaven's Path, didn't this mean that if he were to assemble together a set of more profound physical body cultivation manuals, the book compiled would be even more incredible? If this was true, his physical body would probably play a significant part in his battle prowess in the future. Just as he was immersing himself in his delight, his ears suddenly quivered. The growth and strength of his physical body had also caused his hearing and vision to sharpen. He suddenly realized that someone was stalking him. His footsteps swayed and he came to a stop. "Those friends who are following behind me, come out." "Hee, I didn't expect that you would be so wary." "What is the use of being wary? Lad, you made us lose money, don't even dream about escaping from us today, walala." As his voice trailed off, a few human silhouettes dashed out from the darkness and surrounded him. Every one of them looked at Zhang Xian coldly, as though staring at a corpse. "It's you all?" Zhang Xian recognized them. He recognizes two of those in the group as Master Mo Yang, who was exposed in the market earlier today by him, and the artifact dealer who was working with him. The remaining few should be the supports, who were hidden within the crowd. At this moment, Master Mo Yang's face was swollen red and the skin around his eyes was bruised black. A few parts of his clothes were torn off and he no longer possessed the serene and enlightened disposition and appearance from before. In fact, if one were to claim that he was a beggar on the street, people would believe him. Looks like after being exposed, those victims didn't let him off the hook so easily. But that's to be expected as well. After all, which of those who were able to engage in the expensive sport of treasure speculation didn't come from extraordinary families? After realizing that they were scammed, they could already be considered to be kind for not killing him on the spot. The artifact dealer didn't seem to be in a much better state than him. His two eyes were bruised black and two sausage-like swells hung by his mouth, causing his speech to be indistinct. Glaring at Zhang Xian, the resentment and anger in their gazes were clear to see. This was a ploy that they spent a fortune to set up, only for it to be wrecked by this young man here. Not mentioning how they had to spit out the meat that was already in their mouths, they even almost got beaten to death. Thus, it was understandable that they would feel intense resentment against him. "You little bastard, you sure ran away fast back then. Let's see where you can run off to now." A maniacal gleam flashed across the eyes of the artifact dealer. "You all want to kill me?" Noticing the aura of the surroundings growing eerily cold, Zhang Xian frowned. "If you have to blame it for your big mouth for saying things that shouldn't be said. In your next life, remember to keep your mouth in check." Master Mo Yang sneered savagely as he clenched his fists, causing jia jia sounds to echo in the surroundings. The reason why their fraud failed was due to this fellow. It took them a while before they managed to find him, so naturally, they wouldn't allow him to escape easily. "I'm sorry, but I don't wish to die for now, and neither do I wish to keep my mouth in check," Zhang Xian said. "You don't wish to die?" Ruthlessness flickered across in the eyes of Master Mo Yang. "This isn't up to you. Brothers, kill him, slice him apart and feed him to the dogs." "Roger." With a cold snort, one of the support stepped forward, and lifting his arms up, he sent a palm down towards Zhang Xian. The moment he made his move, his cultivation realm was made apparent. Fighter 5 Dan Pinnacle. No wonder he could still escape to Tianxian Kingdom to conduct fraud even after being outlawed by Luzhu Kingdom. He did indeed possess some capabilities. If it was yesterday night, even if Zhang Xian was able to emerge victorious against this fellow, he would have to utilize the strength of the Library of Heaven's Path to exploit his weakness. However, with an overwhelming progress in the strength of his physical body, possessing nearly 100 ding of strength now, Dingli Pinnacle meant nothing to him now. Chuckling softly, he sent a slap towards his attacker. You're courting death. Number 4's nickname is Metal Palms. His hands are capable of splitting rocks. Back then, in Luzhu Kingdom, a Pishue realm primary stage was killed by a single palm of his. Yet, this fellow dares to exchange blows with him without any preparation. The ignorant sure are fearless. To think that we were done in by such a fellow, what misfortune. Seeing that fellow going against number 4 without dodging at all, Master Mo Yang and the rest sneered. This support may not seem unexceptional, but his strength isn't for show. His palms are capable of even striking through metal. What does a young man who isn't even 20 mean before that? To face it head-on, what else can he be doing other than courting death? Just when they thought that Zhang Xian would be crippled by the blow, they saw the one whom they called, number 4, Metal Palms being as weak as a slab of tofu. Unable to withstand Zhang Xian's blow, his bones shattered and his ribcage sank in as he was blasted away by the force of the blow. His head stabbed onto the ground first, causing him to look like a bulb of wild onion. So, it seems that he isn't weak. No wonder he is so arrogant. Seeing number 4 being sent flying by a single palm, Master Mo Yang froze for a moment before his expression turned even more savage. Waving his hands grandly, as though he was in control of the entire situation, he said, however, your luck ends here. After which, he turned to look at the artifact dealer by the side and said, end it fast. We still have matters to attend to. The artifact dealer nodded his head and advances forward. Boom. Before he even struck, he already emanated an aura from his body. It was similar to the mountains and the oceans, immeasurable. If one were to close their eyes, they could clearly feel 10 acupoints in the other party's body absorbing and exuding spiritual energy, each of them bright as though they were the stars. Pishue Realm Expert. Zhang Xian was taken aback. At Fighter 6 Dan Pishue Realm, one could start opening up the acupoints within their body to absorb the spiritual energy from the world and refine it for their own usage. At this level of cultivation, regardless of whether it was reaction speed or strength, they would be enhanced significantly. In Hongtian Academy, this was the level of strength an elder possessed. It was beyond his expectations that a scammer possessed such strength. Are you afraid? If so, kneel down, apologize and compensate our losses. Otherwise, death awaits you. Noticing Zhang Xian's astonishment, he thought that he was apprehensive of his strength. Thus, with a long cry, he stepped forward, reminiscent of a god who governed over life and death. Kneel down. Apologize. Compensate your losses. Zhang Xian shook his head. I am not that free to be apologizing and giving compensation to a scammer. If you all have such an interest, you all could kneel down to me instead and compensate my losses from your assault today. This way, I can consider letting you all off the hook. What did you say? Is this fellow mad? Master Mo Yang and the artifact owner started to suspect whether this fellow was insane. Our people far outnumber you. Furthermore, we have Pishue realm experts on our side. Yet, you expect us to kneel down to a lonesome young man like you? What are you trying to act cool for? Besides, compensate your losses for the assault. You have losses my ass. The head of our number 4 is still lodged into the ground. If we are speaking about losses, ours are significantly greater, okay? Stop spouting nonsense with him, just kill him. Master Mo Yang gestured. The artifact owner nodded his head. Exerting force on the soles of his feet, he charged towards Zhang Xian with his fingers wide open in the shape of a palm. Hoo-hoo. Before he could get close, the rustling of the wind could be heard, as though an eagle trying to prey on a rabbit. It gave others an oppressing sensation, a massive pressure that they were seemingly unable to withstand. It is number 2's battle technique, Soaring Eagle. This battle technique can be considered to be superior even among those in the mortal intermediate tier. Isn't it a little too excessive to be using it to deal with a young lad? It isn't excessive. This lad is able to smack away number 4 with a single palm strike of his. This shows that he is pretty capable as well. However, his luck has come to an end, now that he is facing number 2's Soaring Eagle. Seeing the artifact dealer executing such an incredible technique, the crowd nodded their heads in approval. Soaring Eagle was in the forefront even among the mortal intermediate tier battle techniques. The moment it was executed, one would emit a majestic aura, reminiscent of an eagle hunting down a rabbit, leaving his opponent with the impression of mountains and oceans, as well as a feeling of helplessness before such overwhelming might. Even if their leader, Master Mo Yang, were to encounter it, he would have to retreat temporarily so as to avoid facing it head-on. Soaring Eagle. The moment the other party executed his battle technique, a manual appeared in Zhang Xian's head and written on it were the flaws and the history of this artifact dealer. Scanning through it with his consciousness, Zhang Xian imprinted this information into his mind and suddenly, a bizarre expression appeared on his face. Who? Due to the lack of time, he couldn't thoroughly ponder over it. The battle technique executed by the artifact dealer was already right before him. A battle technique allowed one to unleash their strength better, thus bringing them to greater heights. As a Pishue realm expert who had opened 10 acupoints, the artifact dealer wasn't weak at all. Complemented with the mortal intermediate tier battle technique, he carried with him a very powerful and oppressive aura. A savage smile appearing on his face was similar to the radiance of a flower. However, before this flower could finish blooming, his eyes narrowed and a ghastly cry sounded, "Ah!" A tragic howl echoed across the night sky, as though a stone grinder had crushed the ears of a dog. What happened? At the very start, Master Mo Yang and the rest thought that Zhang Xian would be crushed in an instant by the strength of number 4. However, they didn't expect that the latter would end up so tragically. Recalling the defeat of number 4, they swiftly turned their heads to take a look and the sight before them caused their face to twitch, almost passing out on the spot. The young man before them totally ignored the magnificence of the artifact dealer and sent a kick upwards toward his dignity as a man. Kacha, the sound of egg breaking apart caused everyone's face to twitch uncontrollably. So. The next moment, the artifact dealer was sent flying as though he was a rubber ball, crashing into a wall not too far away, forming a word. Initially, it should have been a word, but from the looks of it, there probably wasn't a chance for it anymore. Incredible. Seeing how he was able to easily kick away the Pishue realm artifact dealer who was in the midst of executing his battle technique, Zhang Xian nodded his head in approval. Even though his physical body was significantly stronger than the other party was skilled in fighting techniques and also possessed great speed. If Zhang Xian fought normally, he would have had to resort to several means to cripple him, and even so, it would have taken several blows to do it. However, with the Library of Heaven's Path, he was able to clearly see through the flaws of the other party. As such, subduing him became an easy task. With a single kick, the bird flew away and the egg shattered. Even if he was a Pishue realm expert, he wasn't too far off from death from that kick. Something is amiss about this lad. Let's attack him together. Seeing Zhang Xian smack number 4 into the ground and kick number 2 to the point that he no longer possessed his lower companion, no matter how foolish Master Mo Yang could be, he clearly understood that the lad before him wasn't simple, and his previous contemptuous gaze hardened. Walala. Upon hearing the orders, even though the remaining few were sweating profusely and a numbing sensation pervaded their crotches, they dared not disobey the orders and stepped forward to encircle Zhang Xian. Go! With a bellow, the remaining few immediately charged forward. All kinds of powerful attacks fell relentlessly onto Zhang Xian. Their jinqi gushed through their meridians and the might of their attacks generated powerful shockwaves. Just like the previous number 4, the rest of them were all Fighter 5 Dan Dingli realm experts. Despite the fact that they outnumbered Zhang Xian, due to his ability to see through the flaws of others and his Pixue realm pinnacle-level fighting prowess, they did not pose a threat to him at all. Something is not right. Why are there only these few attacks? Parrying all of the attacks that came flying towards him, a thought suddenly flashed through Zhang Xian's mind, causing him to pause for a moment. The artifact dealer, who was only the number 2 in their midst, possessed the strength of Pixue realm. Logically speaking, the fake Master Mo Yang should be significantly stronger than him. However, why was he not attacking with the rest of the lot? If he were to attack, perhaps Zhang Xian might have a difficult time coping with the attacks. Just as he was bewildered over the bizarre situation, he noticed a figure who had already retreated 10 meters away. In the midst of his escape, he shouted, "You all kill him, I'll be back soon, ah." Hearing these words, the attacking crowd staggered. There was no need to guess the situation. It was clear to see that their boss, upon sensing that the situation had gone awry, had abandoned them and fled. Shameless! Zhang Xian shouted in surprising harmony with the rest of the supports. Just a moment ago, he was still bellowing so righteously. Yet, at the next moment, he turned around to flee, leaving his subordinates in a lurch. No wonder he was able to escape the pursuit of Luzhu Kingdom, he is simply way too shameless to be caught that easily. Chapter 57, Storage Ring, You Won't Get Away That Easily. This fellow had Zhang Xian surrounded, and demanded him to kneel down and compensate him. Naturally, Zhang Xian can't possibly let him off the hook so easily. Zhang Xian does a quick job out of the several Fighter 5 Dan Dingli Realm Pinnacle supports, and turning his body around, he heads straight for the Master Mo Yang ahead of him. With the significant breakthrough in the strength of his physical body, Zhang Xian's body movement is reminiscent of a frog. Every single time the base of his foot comes into contact with the ground, he will fly forward 10 meters. Despite not possessing any footwork techniques, his speed is swift like a rock. The heck? The frantically escaping Master Mo Yang turns his head, just to see the other party flitting towards him with large strides, his movements similar to that of the immortals. The overwhelming shock causes him to forget to breathe for a split moment and he almost tumbles over. He thought that Zhang Xian is a lamb that he can easily squeeze to death, so he fervently hunted him down to wash away the shame from the incident earlier this day. Yet, never did he expect that he would run into a lion's den. If only he knew that Zhang Xian was that formidable, he would have never come looking for him. Judging from how young that fellow is, even if he started training inside his mother's womb, it is still illogical for his strength to rise that quickly. Master Mo Yang feels endless regret, to the point that even the thought of suicide pops in his head. If only his mouth wasn't that inauspicious for him to pick out that fellow out of the entire crowd when he was scamming the others in the treasure speculation hall, the other party would not have exposed his deeds and he could have walked out of the hall pompously under the gazes of respect from the crowd, despite scamming their money. Even after his ploy was exposed, he could have just escaped the capital, and nothing would have happened. Yet, he just had to decide on exacting vengeance. Now, not only did he fail to exact vengeance, on the contrary, he became the one who is being chased like a weakling. What the heck is this truly? If one doesn't dedicate his soul to committing suicide, one wouldn't die. Ah, my heart. Despite being just 19, Zhang Xian had cultivated the Heaven's Path divine art and Heaven's Path golden body. His body had been nourished by Jinqi, cleared of impurities, and his bones had been tempered and forged anew, causing him to look younger than his real age. At one look, he looks barely 17 or 18. At such an age, an average person would only be at Fighter 1 Dan or 2 Dan. Yet, the moment they all made a move, it is clear to see that not even with all of them combined could they match up with Zhang Xian. Thus, it would actually be more bizarre if he didn't choose to escape. Stop! While complaining in his mind, he feels a stifling sensation in his chest. Following which, a flat voice sounds from his back. Pang! Before he can turn around to counterattack, he feels a sharp pain at the center of his spinal cord. He stumbles forward and with his face in contact with the ground, he flies forward, creating a deep gorge on the ground in his track. My face, Master Mo Yang, is on the verge of tears. Without taking a look, it is clear that his face is already ruined. Kacha. As though not sparing the moment for him to wallow in self-pity, a foot steps on his head. You should have thought of the possibility of such an outcome when you came for my life. Zhang Xian steps on the head of the other party with an impassive expression. He had only been an ordinary librarian in his previous life. However, ever since becoming a part of this world, he had comprehended the logic of might reigning supreme here. If his strength turned out to be inadequate today, he might have possibly died already. Don't kill me. Lord, as long as you do not kill me, I am willing to hand over my years of savings to you. Clearly feeling the other party's ability to crush his head by exerting force through the foot that's on his head, Master Mo Yang trembles uncontrollably. Comparing money with life, it is clear that the latter is much more valuable. Oh. Show it to me then. I'll see if it is sufficient to buy your life. Zhang Xian replies blandly. Yes, yes. Hearing the other party's words, Master Mo Yang hurriedly takes off his ring with trembling fingers and presents it to Zhang Xian. Everything is inside. I beseech Lord to take a look. Inside? Zhang Xian frowns. What can be fitted into a ring? However, as an expert, he can't be posing such an inquiry to the other party. His mind jolts and a book appears. Low-tier storage ring. Possesses 3 meters square of space within. Flaws, inferior method of creation. The book describes the details of the ring thoroughly. Storage ring. To think that a giant fraudster like him would possess such a good item. Looks like I've made a huge earning this time. When browsing through the books on the Academy's Compendium Pavilion, he became aware of the existence of the mountain in a seed, mystical treasure. Initially, he thought that it was a treasure that was far from his reach. To think that this fellow would possess it. Even though it is a low-tier storage ring, it should be worth at least 500,000 gold coins. Even the elders of the Academy might not be able to afford such a luxury. He can't help but feel surprised by a fraudster possessing such an item. However, after giving this matter some thoughts, he comes to a realization. Without this item, how can he bring away the money he earned? If he were to carry the stack of money around, it would just be a matter of time before he gets discovered, caught and executed. Looks like this fellow had spent much of his fortune just to buy this. As Zhang Xian expects, a face of heartache appears on the face of the other party as he passes the object over. Recalling the details of storage rings in the book he read regarding it previously, he drips a drop of fresh blood on it. Wang. With a jolt of his mind, a 3 meters square space appears in his vision. It is filled with gold coins, numbering up to 100,000. His character may be subpar, but he does have quite a bit of saving. Lord, since you have accepted the item, I beg you to spare my life. Seeing the young man, Master Mo Yang hurriedly says. Spare your life? It is not impossible for me to do that. If you hand over the banknotes that you have secretly hidden on your body, sparing you is just a small matter. Zhang Xian looks at him with a bright smile. Yu, with narrowed eyes, Master Mo Yang looks as though he had met a ghost as disbelief shrouds his features. A cunning rabbit has 3 burrows. As an experienced scammer, he has already prepared a course of action in case he gets captured. Thus, when he was running away, he secretly moved to his body the banknotes he had accumulated throughout the years. This is also the reason why he generously offered his storage ring over. The goal of it is to numb the other party so that he wouldn't conduct a body search on him. As long as he was able to get away safely, even if he loses the storage ring and the wealth stored within it, with such banknotes in his possession, he is able to live without worries as a wealthy man and start anew. He thought that his actions were extremely covert. He couldn't have imagined that this young-looking man had seen through his actions from the start. How did he know? Even if he is powerful, it is impossible for him to see through his clothes and notice the banknotes hidden within. Voila! Can't be bothered to argue with the other party. With a claw, Zhang Xian rips apart his clothes, and in accordance with his expectations, 10 banknotes expose themselves between the tattered clothes. Each of them is worth 100,000, and they added up to a massive sum of 1 million. Looks like I have made a huge profit this time. Delighted to see the enormous amount of money, Zhang Xian's eyes radiate light. I have given you all my money, so you can let me go now. Seeing how the other party is aware even of his hidden stash, Master Mo Yang becomes disconsolate, his previous haughty aura gone without a trace as cries threaten to escape from his throat. He. Yang Mo, an apprentice appraiser. A scammer in Luzhu Kingdom who made his name as an appraiser, notorious for his frauds to earn wealth and the favor of women. Skilled in voice of allurement, which beguiles the mind of others through words, making it easier to convince them. Zhang Xian's foot remains firmly on his head as he revealed the information compiled on this master from the library with a smiling face. You, how did you know? Who the hell are you? Master Mo Yang's eyes narrow as his whole body trembles intensely, as fear reflects on his face. Chapter 58, How did he do it? A moment ago, when his hidden stash was exposed by Zhang Xian, he panicked, but a portion of it was still feigned. However, the current fear that he is expressing on his face at this very moment is completely real. He feels a chill rushing down through his body, threatening to freeze him into a snowman. It wouldn't be weird if the other party could identify him. After all, he can be considered a wanted serial offender, so there's always the possibility of an attentive person seeing through his disguise. However, the fact that he practices the voice of allurement is something that not even Lao and the rest are aware of. Furthermore, he had not dared reveal the fact to anyone, so how could this fellow be aware of it? This was a secret manual that he attained with much difficulty during a chance encounter. He had hidden this fact in the depth of his heart, and he could proudly declare that not a second person in this world knew of this secret. Yet, the other party was aware of it. The overwhelming shock he is feeling at the moment is about to scare him to death. There are many kinds of secret manuals. There are those on the physical body, battle techniques, cultivation techniques. However, most of these can be found easily. If one had to talk about the most valuable secret manuals in the entire kingdom, most probably, the position would have to go to those regarding secret arts that affects one's psyche. Voice of allurement is an extremely low-tier psyche secret art. However, no matter how low-tiered it is still an attack on one's psyche. Once it is executed, no matter how powerful a person is, if they are unprepared, they will still fall for it. Previously, he had been captured by a Fighter 7 Dan expert. He relied on this to coax the other party into sparing his life. The reason why he intentionally begged for his life is to numb the other party through such a method. Never would he have expected that not only was the other party unaffected by his tricks, he seemed to be omniscient, as though nothing about him could escape his notice. Before Zhang Xian, he feels his facade falling off, and that he is standing buck naked before him, without a single concealment. How can he possibly not feel anxious? If he was afraid a moment ago, right now, he is feeling terror-stricken. You don't have to bother how I was made aware of these, you just have to know that these aren't the only things I am aware of. Your Mingmen and such, I am also cognizant of them. I can spare you, but from today onwards, if I were to find out that you are still scamming others, bringing harm onto others, death would be the only thing that awaits you. Stopping there, Zhang Xian kicks the other party's body. Kacha! The sound of an egg shattering. The scammer Yang Mo senses a resounding blast from his dantian, and strength derived from his many years of cultivation seeps away. Without strength, he dares not scam others even if he wanted to. My cultivation, sensing the loss of his strength, Yang Mo is filled with hatred, but he does not dare to snap at him. The other party is simply too frightening. He is no human, but a demon. How can he possibly dare to retaliate, and it's a demon who broke his dantian and ruined his cultivation? Scram! After receiving his benefits and dealing with the scammer, Zhang Xian walks back to the academy with widened strides. The other party is just a scammer, he isn't worth soiling his hands over. It is already around 1 in the morning by the time he reaches his dormitory. However, Zhang Xian isn't fatigued at all. Too many things had happened tonight, with events coming one after another. If it wasn't for the godly cheat library of Heaven's Path, Zhang Xian would have been at a loss for dealing with those situations. Let's see if I can organize those Fighter 6 Dan cultivation technique manuals that I got from Master Lu Chen. Back then, he was too preoccupied with cultivating the Heaven's Path golden body, so he has yet to take a good look at the Fighter 6 Dan cultivation techniques. Now that he has free time, it is a good opportunity for him to examine them. Soon, the correct cultivation method of the dozen or so secret manuals are extracted. However, taking a look at it, Zhang Xian feels his head bloating up. They aren't connected with one another in the least. If I were to cultivate this, my cultivation would definitely go berserk and I will die. Zhang Xian shakes his head helplessly. He might have a dozen secret manuals in his possession, but there are still too many flaws in it. Even if he were to extract the correct methods from them, he is still unable to form a complete cultivation technique set. In fact, the cultivation technique set formed would be filled with even more gaps, making it impossible to cultivate it. Forget it. I better find a way to look for more manuals first. Knowing that the cultivation technique cannot be used, Zhang Xian doesn't panic. Instead, he recultivates the cultivation techniques of the first 3 dawn compiled by the library. Only after ensuring that his cultivation has completely integrated as one does he go to sleep. Zhang Xian doesn't know that in the period that he went to the market to purchase items, in the academy, Elder Shang Chen's backyard is on the verge of exploding. Grandfather, you have to redress my grievances. With tears and snot flowing down his face, Shang Bin's cry tremors even the heavens. As the grandson of an elder, he is born with a golden spoon in his mouth. Furthermore, being talented, he has always been respected by others. Yet, he had suffered all the setbacks he had never suffered in his whole life today. It is already a great blessing that he has yet to go insane. When bringing trouble upon someone, a lunatic dashed out and beat him up to a pig head. When going out for dinner, he sees his goddess dining happily with that lad. He could still take it if his framing fails and if he embarrasses himself, but... Grandfather, didn't you say that this sky-shattering lion is very obedient? I ordered it to teach that useless Zhang Xian a lesson, but not only did it not obey my orders, it even beat me up instead. The more he thinks about it, the more furious he gets. At this moment, Shang Bin is full of tears for himself. This sky-shattering lion before him has been squandering off his family, yet, at a crucial period, not only did it not obey orders, it even helped an outsider to assault him. He feels like tearing his hair out whenever he thinks about it. It is usually rather obedient. Shang Chen feels a little awkward. He looks at the sky-shattering lion on front of him with a puzzled expression. He is just a normal beast tamer, and his expertise in the field isn't particularly high. Even if he were to tame savage beasts, he could only interact with them on equal footing, and not that of a master and servant. This is precisely why the sky-shattering lion needs not bother about his emotions and second-guess his thoughts whenever it wants to do something. However, no matter what, they are contractually related to one another. After asking it to protect his grandson, why, did it listen to the words of the outsider and assault Shang Bin instead? Roar! Upon noticing Shang Bin, the sky-shattering lion holds its head up high with a proud expression on its face, seemingly proud of its deed. Seeing the expression on the sky-shattering lion, Shang Bin receives another 10,000 damage internally. When it was with Zhang Xian, it licked the other party's hand affectionately and treated him respectfully, as though a pug. Yet now, it is acting as haughty as a king. The heck, is my grandfather your owner or he is? Cough cough, I'll persuade the sky-shattering lion later when I get back. Seeing his beast pet behaving like this, clearly rejecting cooperation with him, Elder Shang Chen's face turns red as he waves away the matter. Grandfather, this time, you have to teach this Zhang Xian a lesson in my stead. It would be best if his teaching license is revoked and he is chased out of the academy. Knowing that his grandfather is of a relationship of equals with the sky-shattering lion and is unable to teach it a lesson, Shangbin doesn't dawdle on the matter and gritting his teeth, diverts the topic towards Zhang Xian. A trash who scored a 0 in the teacher qualification examination had caused him so much embarrassment and left innumerable wounds all over his body, causing him to almost die even. This kind of grudge cannot be washed away even by the rapid flow of the river. Rest assured, I will settle this matter. But this Zhang Xian, who knows what kind of luck did he stumble over, he actually managed to recruit 5 students. Without a reasonable excuse, even for me, it will be difficult to expel a registered teacher. Elder Shang Chen says. Registered with the continent's teacher guild, Zhang Xian can be considered formally as a teacher. Even as an elder of the academy, the head of the education bureau, as long as the other party doesn't sin deeply, he has no rights to expel him. While shaking his head, doubt flashes across his eyes. As a fellow who scored 0 in the teacher qualification examination, everyone thought that it would be impossible for any student to acknowledge him. Yet, contrary to their expectations, not only did students acknowledge him, there were 5 of them. Furthermore, a few of them were within the top 100. No one would have thought it possible if they didn't witness it for themselves. In fact, despite seeing the results compiled by the Education Bureau, he still finds it unbelievable. This fellow, how did he do it? It is totally irrational, isn't it? Chapter 59, The Frenzied Students. I have already found an excuse for grandfather to take action. Chao Xiong Laoshi has a student named Lu Yang, and this Lu Yang was coerced by Zhang Xian to become his student. Chao Xiong Laoshi has already applied for an enlightenment will trial, which will be conducted tomorrow. By then, as long as grandfather makes a move, it would be an easy task to strip him of his license. Shangbin squeezes these words through gritted teeth. The deception Chao Xiong spoke of turned into coercion through his words. There is a world of difference between these two words. Deception only means that there's something wrong with that person's personality. On the other hand, coercion is a matter of morals. Coercion? Are you sure? Elder Shang Chen is taken back. I'm sure. Shangbin nods his head affirmatively. If that's the case. How about this, tomorrow, I will invite Elder Mo over for him to witness the process. If the result of the enlightenment will trial shows that Lu Yang did not willingly become his student, then there is the possibility for him to be stripped of his teaching license. After hesitating for a moment, Elder Shangchen says. Thank you, grandfather. Excitement shines in Shangbin's eyes. With the presence of teachers comes qualifications, and the organization that protects the identity of teachers is the Teacher Guild. The guild has the authority to inspect the actions of teachers, as well as to strip them of their license. There was a similar organization called the Ministry of Education in Zhang Xian's previous world. Teachers are role models. To guide a student along their path, they must first make the students concede to them, so that they are willing to learn from them. If they were to coerce them, thus causing the student to be jaundiced, it is possible for their licenses to be revoked. As for how to gauge whether one is truly willing to become the student of a teacher, the enlightenment will trial is the most impartial method. Brat, you might be gleeful now, but let's see how you can continue being so arrogant when your teaching license is revoked tomorrow. Upon the thought that he would be able to exact vengeance for all of the grudges in the past, Shangbin clenches his fist subconsciously and a surge of exhilaration runs through his body. Zhang Xian doesn't know that someone has already set up a ploy against him. After a night of rest, he feels energized. Looking into the mirror, he notices that after cultivating the Heaven's Path golden body yesterday, his body became even whiter and smoother, similar to that of an infant. There isn't a single scar or such on his body. Overall, he looks much younger as well. Those who are oblivious to his identity might even think that he is a student. Not bad. He says before heading to the classroom with giant strides. Arriving at the classroom, the first thing he notices is that the interiors of the room has been cleaned spick and span by his 5 students, and even the drinking water has already been boiled. Wang Ying, Lu Yang, Zhen Yang, Zhao Ye and Yuan Tao are all energized. All of them stare at Zhang Xian with looks of reverence and excitement. Initially, these few students had all thought that they were deceived into acknowledging a fellow who was last in the teacher qualification examination as their teacher. However, after the lesson yesterday, they realized that even though his reputation is terrible, he is, indubitably, an incredibly capable figure. This feeling resonates especially so for Wang Ying. After reciting those theories her teacher spoke of to her father and the elders of the family, they were all filled with praises for him. In fact, there were even some parts of it that they were incapable of comprehending. After which, they insisted in bringing Wang Tao over to acknowledge him as his teacher. From this incident itself, his standards are clear to see. How can one not feel excited upon having such a person as their teacher? Seems like everything is in order today. Zhao Ye, take this medicinal herb, crush it into powder and swallow it along with water. Also, this is a cultivation technique that I have just handwritten. If you cultivate by the methods written on it, you should be able to fully recover in 3 days or so. Seeing the expressions reflected in everyone's eyes, it is impossible for Zhang Xian to not know what they are thinking. Nodding his head, he passes the Frigid Sun Mother Grass, which he bought yesterday night, and a book to Zhao Ye. Zhao Ye's illness was caused by her cultivation of a pure yin cultivation technique. After browsing through all of the books in the teacher's compendium pavilion, Zhang Xian used the Library of Heaven's Path to derive a solution for her problem. Even though the cultivation technique pales far in comparison to his Heaven's Path divine art, it is still a skill derived from the extraction of the essence of 10 different books, and it is still extraordinarily valuable. There are still flaws within it, but the remaining ones don't really affect the whole situation. Yes. Zhao Ye grabs the medicinal herb and places it into her embrace before casually flipping open the book. She notices that the ink is still fresh, and it is clear that it was just written. After taking a brief look at it, her eyes narrow and she looks at him in disbelief. Zhang Laoshe, although I am new here, I have heard of most of the renowned secret manuals in the academy. This manual is several times more incredible than my white jade pure maiden skill. Why have I never heard of it? Furthermore, why isn't there a name on this book? As the daughter of a city lord, Zhao Ye has a massive collection of books in her home. She has browsed through many different secret manuals, which help to build her eye of discernment. This book in her hand is clearly several fold stronger than the white jade pure maiden skill that she cultivated before. However, why has she never heard of it? Whenever one copies a cultivation technique, one would always write the name of the creator on it. However, not a trace of information on its creator can be seen on this book, causing Zhao Ye to be puzzled. Oh, this book is something that I have just compiled and wrote down based on your physical condition, so there's no name for it. If you find it difficult to refer to it like that, you can name it as you like. Zhang Xian says. The Library of Heaven's Path extracts the correct portions of each secret manual and compiles them into a book. The book that is compiled by the library does not have a name, and he can't be bothered to name it either. Thus, he passed it to her right after he casually copied it down. He didn't expect for Zhao Ye to ask about it, thus he answers it casually. What? Teacher, wrote it himself? This means, this is a cultivation technique created by teacher. Not only Zhao Ye was taken aback, the others also narrow their eyes and all of them nearly pass out on the spot. Every single one of those who managed to successfully create a cultivation technique were grandmaster-level figures, experts who left a mark in history. For their obscure teacher to be capable of creating a cultivation technique. Not to mention, such an advanced one, are you for real? You can say so. The Library of Heaven's Path cannot be explained, and these books came out of nowhere. Thus, it doesn't matter whether Zhang Xian says if he is the one who created them or not. Thinking nothing about it, he casually nods his head. Incredible, White Jade Pure Maiden Skill. This skill was created by a Fighter 8 Dan Zongshi realm expert in our family. For teacher to be able to create a cultivation technique of much higher tier than this so easily, exactly how strong is he? Seeing him admit to it, the 5 students find themselves on the verge of going insane. Since the inception of Hongtian Academy, there had been less than a few who had successfully created a cultivation technique throughout its century of history. Every single one of them were reputable and influential figures. Yet, their own teacher is capable of the very same feat as well. They find themselves giddy-headed from the reverence they are feeling towards him. Furthermore, the most important of all, what did Zhang Laoshi just say? He said that, if you find it difficult to refer to it like that, you can name it as you like. The heck? Every master went through a lot just to create their own cultivation technique. Thus, they view it as their treasure and only pass it down to their main disciples. Yet, after creating a cultivation technique, not only did this Zhang Laoshi freely gift it to others, he is even lazy to name them, allowing his students to name them as they please. One must know that the future generations tend to only remember the one who names the skill, rather than the creator himself. Such an opportunity to leave his mark in history, but he isn't bothered about it in the least. Isn't he way too indifferent to material successes? One's conduct can't get any nobler than that. No wonder Zhang Laoshi still remains as an obscure figure despite being so capable, even carrying the notoriety as the worst teacher in the academy. To think that he would be such a noble person, a person who views fame as dirt. Zhang Laoshi, upon thinking about these, the eyes of the 5 students redden. They are so moved that they are on the verge of bursting into tears. What's wrong with you all? Seeing his students who were still acting normally a moment ago suddenly staring at him with reddened eyes, Zhang Xian is confused. These students, could they have gone mad at the same time?